Yo, what's up? Oh, all right. All right. I'm so tired, man. So tired. Well, hold on. What you mean we don't know when we going live? It's your boy Forte here with the
That's what I
amazing
mean.
with the amazing SloMoBackSlap and the amazing Eric Jackson, which we'll get to in a second. But first, I want to reach out to all you guys and say we miss you, we love you, we appreciate you. And we're gonna have a great show today because not a lot of stuff happened, but a lot of big stuff did happen. So stuff to talk about, state of play. Nvidia can't, keep their files locked in their closet. Star Wars underperforming. we got the Ubisoft board investigating why the company is doing so terrible. We're gonna talk about all this stuff. But first, I want to introduce you to the man, the myth, the legend, the man of many slaps, the man that is the most brazen person that I've seen on YouTube and Twitter because he gives no F's about anything that anybody else says, and he will
That
continue.
is true.
And he will continue to back up his claim, even if he thinks he's wrong. Ladies and gentlemen, the homie SloMoBackSlap, please. What have you been doing? What's been going on with you, and how you been?
I've been pretty good. I've been healing up, and I am close to 100%. So you guys will see me going back to doing lunchtime with slow-mos and making videos on my channel, which I haven't really been able to do because I haven't been able to speak clearly for a few weeks. But I got all that out of the way now. Ready to get into it, talk about these topics. I beat a couple games. I got a new controller to break in. I've been doing my gaming thing. So some people don't know what that feel like, what that look like. But this is what gamers do. We play games, and we test out new ways to play games, and we don't just sit on Twitter talking smack. But no,
Oh my god,
ain't that right?
hey, listen, he's spitting right now.
Yeah, I've been good though. I've been good. I beat 2 games over the past week. I beat Astrobot, and I beat a little indie game called Nobody Wants to Die. And I'm not 100% certain if this developer. So it's made by a developer called Critical Hit Games, which I love that name. But I think that's their first game. I feel like they may be some like former devs from. Can't remember the name of the studio, but if you guys remember the game Firewatch.
Yeah, that's a good game.
Yeah, Firewatch was a really good game, and that developer was bought by Valve, and they were working on a game, something like something of the Dead Gods or something like that. And that game never is going to see the light of day because Valve basically reassigned them to work on Half-Life Alyx. So after they did Half-Life Alyx, I don't know what happened to that team. They just got dissolved or whatever. But I feel like some of them must have worked on Nobody Wants to Die because that game has got a lot of game design elements from Firewatch. And just with like the protagonist and like the girl in his ear that's like his guide and stuff like that. It's really well done, very good story. Visuals are fantastic. Like this is what how like when we first saw Unreal Engine 5 and Epic was doing all that talk about like, we're gonna this technology will allow developers, indie developers and AA developers to make games that look like AAA games. And we didn't really see that. After that, we were just like, that's cat, because we didn't really see that. But then this game really does that. Like, I don't know if the game engine is Unreal Engine. I think it is. I'll double check. But regardless of that, like, it's a fantastic story. Visuals look really great. I do believe it's only on Steam. So it was only on PC, but the game's really good. Played through it. It's not that long, but it does have multiple endings. So there is some there's some replay value there. And another thing that reason I believe the Firewatch devs did this is because Firewatch doesn't really have like a happy ending. It's kind of bittersweet. And this game is like that too. Like like you've got multiple endings, but they all are kind of like you understand, like, you know, it's not realistic because this is like steampunk era. They're flying cars, but the art design of the car, not the art design, but the design of the cars is like old school 1940s style vehicles, like Model Ts and stuff like that. But like they can fly. So it's just like it's got that steampunk kind of aesthetic to it, but like people die real easily. You can die very easily. It's just so good. I recommend anyone play it because it's pretty awesome.
Nice.
Astrobot was dope. I
Yeah,
didn't
man.
platinum it, but because I got too many games to play right now, so I said I need to start completing games because with all those two done, I only have beat 11 games this year, so I'm far behind where my average normally is, and I'm like at various points halfway through games right now. I need to step it up, so didn't platinum it because I don't have time. So because I'm pushing on to things, and I'm also supposed to be doing this Dragon Age playthrough stream for the entire series up until Veilguard that comes out October 31st. So that's been everything I've been doing. Eric Jackson,
Yes, sir.
what you been up to,
Thank
man?
you. No, first I'm saying thank you for having me, man. I know I talked to you in the DM, just how life has been like between both of us, it's just been crazy and nonstop. So I'm happy I could finally make it. When you hit me up today, I was like, yeah, man, I'm clear. Let's go. You know, so yeah, I'm happy to be here, man. But just, you know, going through life and stuff, man. But as far as the games, yeah, I too just finished up Astrobot. I did platinum it, but you're right, man. That game, that's just a game of pure joy, man.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like it just harkens back, you know, to just when you just sat and enjoyed a platformer for what it was. It's just fun. It has all the feels. They put their heart into it. That's good. And it's a kind of a shame that people, without finishing it when it first dropped, were immediately taking it to like the console war level and trying to discredit it, or you know, trying to bring
yeah.
it down to as not being, oh, well, Mario does it better, or this game does it better. And it's like, let these games just be what they are, man. Like when I played Psychonauts 2, I didn't look at it and go, well, it's not Mario. I just like, no, they got something creative that they got going here. It's a good platform. It's a good game. And I don't think we do that enough. I don't think we celebrate, you know, in the Twitter community anyway, we don't celebrate games. Everything's about tearing down and destroying. Nothing gets celebrated,
Yeah,
you
it's a
know?
lot
So
happened on both sides.
yeah,
You know, it's like
tremendous, tremendous.
I'm ignoring anything that may be negative about a particular platform or games that come from that platform, even
Right.
down to the marketing. If the game is just marketed by my platform, I'm going to cap for that game now. If the game
Yeah.
is it's an accidental console exclusive, I'm a cat for that game now, and or against that game. You know, like it's so obvious because you see people do it, and
Yep.
you see them contradict themselves when similar games are on their preferred platform and they don't have, you know, that kind of energy. It's almost as if like their critical thinking skills went
It
up
just turns off.
200%. Yeah, you know, when
Right.
it comes
Yeah.
to the other platform and on their own personal platform, it's a zero. It's just like, are you serious? Like we're not stupid here. We get it, you know.
Oh yeah. Exactly. Exactly. But
Yeah,
I just say, man, like this is the kind of game. It shouldn't matter what like platform you prefer. If you like games and you just enjoy a good game, you should be rocking with it. It shouldn't be, well, I got to downplay it because it's not on Xbox or it's not an Xbox title, and then vice versa. You know, it's like this weird vibe. It's like, I don't really understand it. I don't rock that way. And I laugh because I see dudes constantly down talking, downplaying a platform, and then when you call them out, it's well, I have everything. I play on everything. And it's like, but you were the guy last week that was just showing your dusty cupboard with your, you know,
yeah.
look at this thing collecting dust. And I always
or,
say
or
that's
or
an
or there's a
indictment on you and
game
your dirty ass.
there's a game that's timed exclusive to the platform that you own, but you don't want
Right.
to use. So it's like
Yeah.
you're upset. It's not on your preferred platform, but it's on a platform that you own. So why did you
Right. Right.
buy the console if you weren't going to use it for games that you want to play? Did you just buy it so that like when people called you out for your tomfoolery, your response is, "Well, I own a blah 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 blah."
Right.
It's just like, so what? It's still in the box.
Principalities come into it. It's the principle. It's principalities in this. You know, I'm not playing it because they ignoring my platform. And it's like, come on, man. You know, it's like stop the cap. Stop the cap.
You heard that enjoy games, not be a gaming activist. So
exactly.
Cut the cap.
So Astrobot was definitely lit. Before I got to Astrobot, I actually played Konetsugami Path of the Goddess. I highly recommend that game to people, and I think there's a lot of people sleeping on that game. And I can understand why. Like, you kind of look at it, and you're like, man, artistically, aesthetic. You kind of look at it and go, I'm not sure really what this is. I know people kind of called it like a tower defense game, if you kind of look at it, but it's really not that. It's more of like a tactics. It's like a tactics mixed with a hack and slash, which is like a really interesting thing. And I would tell people, definitely don't sleep on the game, because we always say, well, nobody's really doing anything kind of interesting and new. Like, everything's the same. And I would say, well, Capcom kind of put a game out there that's not that. You know, it's got a great level of tactics to it. And basically, I don't know if you guys have played it or checked it out at all, but it's called Path of the Goddess because what you're doing, you're like the guardian of the goddess, pretty much. And you're tasked with guiding her through day-night cycles. Like, in the daytime, you strategize and you lay out how you want to go about protecting her and guarding like the field per se. So you move her a certain amount of distance that you want her to go, and then you move around and you set up barriers and you set up, defenses and things like that. But at the same time, you have to give the villagers that you rescue to, basically what you're doing is, she's the harbinger of destroying like sort of like what they call like the blight in a way. It's not blight, but it's called something that's I can't think of right now. But so you're saving like the villagers who have been overrun by this in the town. And as you go around and you purify and you save them, you give them roles. So you get as you progress throughout the game, you open up different roles. So like your first is like the Axeman, which is like a melee, character, and then you get like archers. And then as you progress forward, you get like shamans and you get sumo wrestlers, and different who are like your tanks and stuff like that. And you set them up, on the best way you think to defend against these demons who are going to come through this portal during the night cycle and trying to kill her and take her out. So you're managing like the battlefield. You give them specific areas to be in, things that they do based on their abilities, based on their strengths. And you're basically clearing it out and getting her to survive through the night to get to the next day. And then in some cases you can only move her so far. You may have to go through 2 or 3 night cycles, to get her to the end of the gate to purify it and move on. Really good boss fights in every level, some real good challenge to it. So yeah, I highly recommend that game. I tell people definitely don't sleep on it. It's in Game Pass and it's so good. Like I played it through Game Pass. I said, yo, I'm gonna pick it up and play it on PlayStation, and my goal on that is to platinum it. So that's how much I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I played that in I think a demo.
They do have a demo. They do have a demo for it.
Yeah, it was okay. It was okay. But I just had too many games to really like focus in on it. I might get back to it. But
I played the demo too, and the demo, I'll be honest with you, the demo didn't grab me. I think there's too much kind of going on in it that you have to spend, some time with it, kind of getting going in it to understand what it's trying to get you to do. And when I first played the demo, I was like, this seems kind of like, I won't say complicated, but it seems like I'm not sure what it's asking me to do here and do there. So I would say, yeah, it's one of those games that you kind of have to like commit to. But I heard like people talking about like, Lord Cognito talk highly of it. I was like, I'm gonna give this game a go. And boom, it ended up being one of my favorite games this year. So yeah.
Cool. You love to see it.
Yeah. Gaming, man.
Imagine
that.
And can actually talk about the game. Not just saying, that game, I like the art. It's it looks cool.
Are you slandering 75% of X right now?
Yeah, because they don't know anything. They don't like, you can't tell they actually play games. they'll be like, "Oh, I love this game," and you'll be like, "Oh, really? Though, what do you love about it?" Well, I love how in Astrobot, like they got Nathan Drake in there. Yeah. So what happens with Nathan Drake? Yeah. So anyway, so like I just like really like Astrobot's such a great master. It's just like you don't know anything. Did you play this game or did you watch somebody play a clip of the game and you saw Nathan Drake? Like, do you know what the purpose of the game is? What is Astro trying to do? Like it's just I gotta start like interrogating people now because they just don't like. I can't tell if you are like a actual gamer or you like a mimic of a gamer. Like it go like a horror movie, a mimic. Like you're trying to mimic a gamer. But you know how like in the movie in John Carpenter's The Thing, which I love, my favorite horror movie ever. It's amazing.
I'm surprised you made it through it.
No, I told you I love horror movies. I don't mess with horror games. We've been over this. Well, I don't know why you saying, "Oh my God." We've had this conversation like 5 times.
I know we had this conversation, and every time you say that, I lose a brain cell because I'm like, "What?"
Well, you can't do that. Let me. I was about to say you set me up because I was about to say something mean, and I'm not going to do that because I'm a nice guy anyway. In John Carpenter's The Thing, you got those like the monster mimics humans, and he does a pretty good job of it until you start to get into like some details of some things, and maybe they don't quite have all the information they're supposed to have, and and especially if you do the test on them and then they freak out. But regardless of that, it's a lot of mimics in this community, but they look like gamers. They smell like gamers. They're stereotype of gamers, right? They don't get haircuts and they don't shave and they smell like they've been inside their mama's basement for the past 10 years. But actual gaming, I don't know if they do that. I don't know, man. It just seems a little suspect, Forte, what you been up to, man?
Oh man, what have I been up to? Well, today has been interesting. I had a very lengthy. Well, I hired a new person last week. Her first day was today, and we had, I was listening to music, and it was something. So I don't know how it came up, but it came down to like something about Kanye West, and I was like, oh man, Kanye used to be great. It used to be great, and she was like, don't you do that. He's my favorite. I like, oh no.
Oh no.
I was like, oh no. She was like, and she was like real like you ever seen like a person that is they're so invested that when you say something negative about something that they are so invested about, they find a way to like curl up and walk away from you and say, I'm gonna walk away from you right now. I'm not gonna do it. So I was like talking to her and I was like, okay, so what is he? I was like, he's crazy. He's been crazy for like a decade now. And I said, kind of makes you not want to like and watch it and listen to his new stuff. So she was like, I was like, okay. She's like, well, name something that you like from him. I was like, man, I said, honestly, and I'm gonna ask y'all this question before I answer the question. What, like, no biases or anything, Kanye West, what was the last greatest album that man has made, in your opinion?
For me.
Just answer the question.
Where is this going?
She's in the chat. Well, I told her I would ask this question. She's in the chat right now. Okay. That's why.
Okay. Homecoming?
Okay. What about you, E?
I think for me, College Dropout.
Oh, okay. I see.
Yeah, you know what? College Dropout. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? Let me look at the playlist of Homecoming.
I said Graduation.
Homecoming is good, but I think as a full, just like top to bottom, cover to cover listen, College Dropout was like,
yeah,
beyond like his debut album, because his debut album was like ridiculous to me.
Yeah, his debut album.
Late registration.
Yeah, late
that might
registration.
be. Yeah.
So what
I
was
like.
it? It was.
I think I may have liked that one, that album more than like just kind of just talking about like because you said what was the last one you thought was good.
But
The last one you thought
what's his
was
best
good.
one?
Graduation is really good too, though. So
Well, that's what I
Yeah.
said. What was the last greatest one that he made that, in your opinion?
What was the last one before he lost his mind? Like whatever album it was before he lost his. Say again.
It might have been 808 Heartbreaks before we got the real Kanye. Or actually, what I hate to say this, I don't mean to sound morbid, I don't mean to sound disrespectful, but I've always labored by this. What was the album that came out after his mother passed? Because it seemed to me like that she was the one that kind of kept him
in line,
kept him grounded. You know what I'm saying? Because after that, it just seemed like everything. I felt like he's a dude that has a lot of yes people in his corner, where his mom's probably like, nope, don't do that. So I don't know. Was that 808 Heartbreaks or was that
Yeah, we're not gonna go deep into it.
Yeah, that might have been Graduation.
To me, it was Graduation.
That's still good. Hey, I can't argue. I'm not gonna poo-poo that.
That might have been Graduation.
If we and let me tell you, when I said Graduation, the first thing she said to me was, "How old are you?"
Hey, old enough to know when Kanye.
Old enough to remember when Kanye was good.
Old enough to know what good music is. How about that?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, but no, it was that was just
her favorite album is the Auto Tune album. That was 808 Heartbreak, right?
Yeah.
At that time, everybody was like shitting on T-Pain, but then Kanye did, and everyone's like, "Oh my god!"
You know, the funny thing is shout out to Deli for being in the chat. I know he's been busy and stuff. He's named. See, the thing is. Yeah, he's talking about he sent me a lot of the ones that she liked a lot. Like she was like, he's more than just the first 3-4 albums. I was like, are you sure?
No, he ain't.
I was like, are you sure?
There's an age, there's definitely a range. That shows how long his career has been too. Because there's definitely
it is
for like Kanye.
Yeah. But no, so that was that. I just wanted to bring that to the core because she came in. I said, you ain't got to say nothing in the chat. I just want you to hear other people's opinions because we were asking people this as they were walking in the store. And I'm like,
but she's probably gonna be like, but you guys are all old. So
but right, I called my wife randomly on the phone and put it on speakerphone. I said, babe, I'm about to ask you just a random question. Answer it honestly. And when I asked her, she was like, Graduation, and she was like, "Oh my god, you're old." I was like, "Oh my god."
Well, I'll put it like this: if this was like on Jeopardy, guaranteed they go to his early discography.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's hard to get past the early stuff. The early stuff is the best stuff normally, and then they try to.
With the seniors in the room, we don't have to listen to the freshmen.
Right. Well, outside of doing, Well, outside of that, as you can see on the screen, I started back up on my playthrough of Space Marines, which is gorgeous on PC. Like, I don't even have to worry about performance on there. But outside of that, playing that, going back and forth in my Dynasty and playing Ultimate Team and NCAA football, which is I never really understood Ultimate Team. Like, I always thought you had to spend a lot of money to play in it, which you kind of do, but you can kind of play no money spend if you do it right. You just gotta take your time and like really build your team. Whereas some people in that game can build a team like in a week by just spending money. Like, I haven't spent anything. And I'm finally getting to the point where I feel like I can compete with higher end teams that people paid for. And it's been like a month already. So there is a huge disparity in spending money in Ultimate Team in EA's games than not spending it. But so it's a huge disparity. Go ahead.
Let me ask you a question, man. Because like I got to get back to NCAA because I picked it up too. before that, it's been a long time since I played sports games, right? But
Mhm.
we come from an era where you could pick up like an NCAA, you pick up a Madden, you can immediately create a 99 player, throw them on your favorite team, just rock out, start a
Yep.
season,
Yeah.
rock through the season, and be done. Am I missing something? Like, because I said, you know what? I don't really want to do like ranked. I just want to kind of play my seasons like I used to do. And there's really, you don't really do that, right? Like you kind of have to like, in a way, play it online, I guess, so to speak. Like if you're trying to do a season, like your season isn't really. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm just trying.
No, yo, you could do on and offline. So you could do an offline. You could do an offline season. And the only biggest difference between offline and online is the way the updates work in the game. If you do an online season, you'll get any updates like when they post because you're doing online. Whereas offline seasons take a couple of days to they'll do like backyard or whatever they're called. Post on the back end, and then those affect all the offline seasons. The only difference other than that is if you make an online season, which there's really no reason to make an offline one, because if you ever want to invite people to play in your season, you have to have an online season. You can't do it, and you can't change an offline to an online later on. But you can play offline. You can play a whole online season by yourself, though. You don't have to play with anybody.
Can you just throw your creative player in there? Because I said, why this seems so convoluted? Like I just want to create a player like I used to do. No,
they just added a patch for it. They just added a patch so you could do that.
Oh, okay, because that's okay. So I wasn't crazy. I'm like, what happened?
No, yeah. There was no
player, adding them to a roster, or you could start as a freshman and do whatever. You had the options to red shirt, do whatever you wanted to do. I said, where is all that? So so they added that now.
Yeah, they added that now, but you can only do that in offline because it throws off the balance of the game when you do online if you add people like that.
What happened, man? Is it the monetization world? Is that what happened online to change it all up for us?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's what it comes down to. And they make so much money off of that. One of my coworkers, he plays Madden every year. And he's got like these, like in 1 year, in one calendar year of Madden, they may play through like 4 seasons.
And
they will be and they put money in it, and they got like all the ultimate team stuff, and it's just like it makes EA so much money,
man.
That when you think about that, they technically only really have 8 to 9 months of real development time before they come out with the next one. And so a lot of that is dedicated to the stuff that the majority of the gaming community for the game care about. And unfortunately, stuff like having, although they may still have it there, but it's just like it's far less worked on because it's far less important.
Yeah, far less prominent inside of the game, yeah.
They care more about making sure the ultimate team stuff and how the majority of people are engaging in Madden now is rock solid at launch than, hey, back in I used to be able to create my character, throw him on a team, and just do a franchise, do his entire career. Maybe I only play like 2 or 3 games a season, but I simulate the rest of them and I play all in the playoffs and the Super Bowl. And it's just like, we don't really care about that no more. Like even now they brought back college football. And one thing I used to do with college football was I would play the college football game, and then I would like create freshmen. Build them up over a college career, then import the graduating class into the draft class for Madden. And that would be like, and then I'd be like, me and my friend, because what I would do it with my friends, and we'd be all like mad that like our level 99 college players went to Madden and they're now level 74 and whatnot, but we would then build them up there. And it's just like, there ain't nobody doing that no more, unfortunately. So it's just like they even add that back in there when they brought college football back. So it's just, I don't think it's I don't think it's ever going to come back because
it's all about the most
old heads that do it.
It's all about the modes
Yeah.
that pay the money at this point now, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, think about it. How many people do you know that just play head to head now? How many people, you know, yeah, I watch people in NBA 2K, they just go into the park. How
Yeah,
often
they
do you
just
see?
hang
How
out in the
often
park
do
all
you?
day.
Yeah, they do
Yeah.
5-on-5 or 3-on-3 in the park. But how often do you see a person just say, "Hey, let's just do
I used to do
versus"?
that in real life.
Right, you
Yeah,
just do
you
that
would.
in real
Yeah.
life.
all day on a Saturday. Just go to the courts, man. Just be like,
Man.
you know, you get on. Like I ain't getting off.
Man, yeah, right,
You know, I
right.
better-
Don't let, right. I mean, like, don't let. Hey, listen. If y'all let us stay on this court, we ain't getting off.
Yep.
Yeah, man. And not, but now they've taken that kind of environment and they just put that in the game.
I have noticed,
now,
like,
so now everybody just got
Like,
there.
leave the house.
man, well, that's the
Right.
unfortunate thing too, because I live next, like, we have like a clay court that's like half a mile from me at this real nice park. It's like all black and red, and it's sweet. It's full court. I go by there every once in a while during the summer. Empty, crickets. I was like, bro, when I was younger, when I was like 13, 14, 15, catching the bus to go to the park just to play hoops, knowing I'm gonna be there from like 11 to 6, 7 o'clock at night, dog, the course were humping every day. Pause. But now, like all the spots I used to know people play that all the time, I'll just ride by them sometimes. And don't nobody be out there like that no more.
Nope.
They do not be out there like that. And that's kind of where I'm not going to say video games is kind of desensitized everybody from wanting to go outside, but that's kind of what happened. And then on top of that, other stuff kind of happens in life where, you know, some
Well, yeah,
kids.
I mean, it's a different time period. Like
Yeah.
it's just like you don't see kids outside period no more.
No,
and
not
frankly,
anymore.
You just can't really have your child outside like we were back in the day, because back in the day when we were outside, everybody was outside. So if some creepazoid rolled up on a kid, everybody be like, who was this? Who was that?
Yeah,
like there was no like, oh,
the people in the neighborhood
yeah.
didn't play that. Like everybody watched out. You know, it was like, nope, we don't know who that is. Why you coming to him?
There wasn't no snatching kids. I mean, some kids got snatched up, sure, but it's like it was much harder. Now, if a kid's playing outside, they playing by themselves. All on their
that's
lonesome.
the thing. They all by themselves. Yeah, exactly.
And it's not like if anyone sees a kid by themselves, they're just like, yo, what you doing out here?
Right.
You okay? You know, you need you where's your parents at? You need help? Somebody, you know, because they don't want, you know, this if this child got snatched up, like no one would know it, see it, you know. So it's just because of that, it's like these younger generations of kids just don't like they rather watch TV, be on the internet, play video games, than go outside and for what and to do what with who.
Yeah,
it's
just
just
for us growing up, you got a new bike like almost every Christmas because you wore out your bike.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, now it's like, you as a kid, you want a bike? What? No.
And I remember one day it was like 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And me and a couple of my friends, we just started, you know, you just go walking and you're talking. Next thing I know, dog, I live about, when I was like that age, I lived about probably 30 minutes or 25 minutes driving away from downtown Detroit. We walked, dog, I could literally see downtown Detroit as we was approaching it going down Jefferson. And I was like, yo, I look at our watches, I'd be like, dog, we've been walking for like 6 hours, bro, in one direction. And then we turned around and was like, we got to get home, bro, because it's about to be dark as hell. We gonna get in trouble. But no, that was a cool thing about back then, bro. It was like, dog, you just go on adventures and just like, it was bliss back then, man. Like
you just win.
You would catch like you didn't even like you. Of course, you want to tell your mom and your dad where you were going, but it's like, dude, you would literally you would just go outside, hop on a bus, go to the mall, you know, just because you wanted to go see some girls or something like that, and hang out with your boys, or you would like walk like 5 or 6 miles away to go like hang out with your boys over there or go see some girl or go to the skate rink or something like that. It's like you had the ability to pretty much do anything you wanted as long as you made yourself available to your mom before the streetlights came on. That was like the only stipulation.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. You just had to be home before the streetlights came on, and depending on where you lived, if you lived in the country, you know, you would have tick check. You guys know what tick check is?
Yeah,
you know, because you had to strip down to your undies and make sure there ain't no ticks on you. Just like when I was a kid, like in my summers, I would spend my time where my family was in North Carolina, and my grandfather had all this property. He had like his own, like he was a farmer, so he had like all this farmland. He had the woods. He owned the woods that was surrounding the farmland, and we'd be out in the woods just, you know, making up games and fantasy adventures in our head and stuff, and all kinds of stuff be jumping up on you, and you don't even realize it. We get in the house and it's like tick check, then it's bath because you stink, you know. So it's like, you know, like these kids that don't know anything about that.
Go take a bath, you know.
Yeah,
right.
You know, it's just it's a different time now, and so they don't. Yeah, for them it's like, I'll play, and you know, shout out to 2K and whoever's idea was to take, you know,
Rita Park to you.
The culture of the courts, and then put that. These kids don't go outside no more, but like they would understand the whole, you know, you win, you stay on, you lose, you get off, you know, your fit look messed up, everybody laughing at you, you know, like that kind of deal. And so it makes sense. It makes sense that they would add that for it, and this would be what yesterday kind of feel is. But anyway, let's get into.
I was gonna
this,
say 39 minutes in. You know what? We that was a great walk down memory lane, bro. But let's get to the first topic. Ubisoft board launches investigation into the company for their struggles, and definitely wanted to make sure we talked about this because I know SloMo, you came in to Brap towards the end of it, or it actually went a little bit longer because we jumped in there. But when you jumped in there, we talked about, you know, Ubisoft struggles, and I kind of want to keep the Star Wars stuff a little separate because we're going to talk about the, you know, underperformance of Star Wars after this.
Star Wars Outlaws,
yeah. So when it comes to just Ubisoft, what's going on here, SloMo, when it comes to the investigation with the board and everybody like, dog, Ubisoft really doing bad out here, and they probably about to get swooped up and picked up by, you know, the overlord that's sitting in the back end. What's going on with them?
Well, so Ubisoft about a year ago, a little bit more than a year ago, Eves, and you know what? I think Ramon's probably going to get on me for mispronouncing this guy's last name, but Guillemot something. It's the Gilla something family, the Guillemot family, right? They own Ubisoft. He's the CEO, but his brothers are like they are all part owners, and the way they own Ubisoft is through a company that's their family company, and that family company has the majority shares in Ubisoft. Now, a while back, Vivendi, a different company, tried to do a hostile takeover of Ubisoft, and that failed. Since then, they've kind of created a way where like no individual entity, company, or person can have more than a select number of shares to kind of make sure that no hostile takeovers happen anymore. Currently right now, Tencent, and we all know who Tencent is and how they operate, they have the maximum number of shares in Ubisoft that they could possibly have. And about a year ago or so, they invested heavily into the Guillemot family company that actually owns Ubisoft. So why is that important? It's important because it looks like Eves and his family have themselves an exit strategy out of Ubisoft in case things didn't turn around. And there was a particular internal letter that Eves, the CEO, sent to the rest of Ubisoft. And I think he intended it to be uplifting, or encouraging, but when you read the letter, it doesn't come off like that at all. It's more of like, y'all better shape up, or I don't know what's going to happen around here, kind of deal. And he talked about how they got some big games coming soon that are really critical to the success of the company. And what he was talking about, it seems what he was talking about is their two big licensed games, which is Avatar and Star Wars Outlaws, both games being made by Massive Entertainment, who has done the Division 1 and 2. And I think, and this is just my personal opinion, I think they chose Massive not because they were the best developer to make the kind of games that those were going to be, but because Massive created the Snowdrop engine, which they wanted to use for those games. And Snowdrop engine, it's not like easy to use, but it's an engine that they've had a lot of success with already. And I believe they felt that they could, with the tools they had at hand, they could get the game out quicker than if, say, an Assassin's Creed team did Star Wars Outlaws. So all that said, we know how Avatar, didn't do great. We got Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, which I don't even like side-scroller platformers like that, and I thought it was good. But a lot of people who enjoy those kind of games thought it was fantastic. That didn't sell that well. It's just nothing has sold well for Ubisoft up till now. And now we're at the point where now the board's starting to ask questions. Yes, we got the controversies with Assassin's Creed Shadows. I'm not really trying to address the chodes that are complaining about like really inconsequential things.
Right.
They're not important, but it seems as if it's something that they acknowledged in their statements about this, that the sales for Star Wars Outlaws is soft as they Forte.
No, I dropped something.
Okay. The sales for they considered the sales for Outlaws soft, and which clearly they didn't meet expectations for what they thought they would be. Who knows how the licensing deal with Disney is set up? We've seen what the licensing deal for Spider-Man is with Sony, and Disney want their money. They got a lot of different segments of this contract that Sony has to fulfill in order to make things right with Disney, and they got to do it in like for Spider-Man in a 12-month period. And if just guessing here, if Ubisoft has a similar deal with Star Wars Outlaws, then even if it's sold pretty decent for any other game, like 3 or 4 million or something like that, that just might not be enough for what they need for their contract. Partially the reason why EA didn't really care to keep up the deal they had with Disney for Star Wars for the exclusive license. So all that said, like it looks to me as if Ubisoft is reaching a point where ownership might be changed after this next fiscal year. Like it could be if and the stock price apparently has just plummeted. At one point, I believe I heard earlier this year was at like $60 a share, and the last I saw was like $9 a share.
Damn.
So yeah, so things are not looking good. And when you have the board wanting to launch an investigation into how things are going internally, I think that like we really should have seen this coming, especially considering, if you remember, the all of the internal issues going on with sexism and racism and people in positions of leadership abusing their power and treating female employees poorly, extremely poorly, harassment, and all of those same people were kind of creating a culture within Ubisoft where uniqueness and creativity was not being utilized or nurtured, but instead, a typical, usual Ubisoft formula that at times is good, like with UI UX stuff and having things being standardized, but then the way it was done is to the detriment of creativity.
Right.
And so I recall a letter from an anonymous employee being sent to the CEO about how you replaced these bad apples with people who were just like them. You replaced them with their buddies who are just, business as usual. And like when that is the situation that's going on, like you're not really changing anything. And I think I think a greater issue to that is that I feel like the gaming community in itself has kind of written Ubisoft off.
Mm-hmm.
Where anytime they're brought up, it's like a tone of distaste or disappointment that they're brought up in, or a lack of confidence in what they're capable of doing. And so when that is the case, a lot of people are going to kind of skip your content. Like, I don't think Outlaws is a bad game at all, but a lot of people really ain't checking for it. Lost Crown, Prince of Persia, really good game. A lot of people not really checking for it. It's unfortunate, and I don't think Ubisoft is going anywhere. And I'll say this one thing, and then Eric, I want to get your thoughts on it. But I do think that it's going to be a changing of guard. There's going to be a changing of ownership, and hopefully a changing of culture, if that is the case, real soon.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on all this stuff?
No, I kind of fall pretty much in line like where you are. Like, I still think they are still a premier developer. I just think they kind of put too many eggs in the same basket, to where if you're like a Ubisoft fan, you kind of fall into like the pocket, because there are definitely people who, like, no matter what kind of game they put out, they like that whole bloated world. I just go around, open world, check off games. But a lot of gamers don't kind of rock that way, so you, like you said, you immediately turn them off. And then you can remember like 15, 20 years ago, you could almost set your watch to Ubisoft. Like, they put out a game, you're like, yo, I'm definitely copping that, because they're like their premiere. They were trying different things, they were doing different things, and it felt, you could, believe in them, right? So you fast forward to kind of what you just said. What's the first thing you hear when like a Ubisoft game comes out? A lot of people are like, okay, you see a segment of people go day one, right? And then we see what happens. They go day one, and then there's always an issue that has to be addressed. And then you have a segment, probably a bigger segment, that says, I like their games, but I'm conditioned now to wait a few months on their game, because for a host of different reasons. They're infinitely,
they go on sale.
Their games
they go
half price.
off.
Half
like
price.
half price, like almost off the rip. And then without question, if you wait like 6 months to a year, the game is infinitely different than what it was when it launched.
Mm-hmm.
And you can get probably all the DLC with it. You can get everything with it. And for the size of the company that they are, and their different studios, whatever, that's not how you achieve.
Don't they have more? Don't they have more associates than like Microsoft at this point?
You mean studios?
Like studios.
Their staffing is massive. Like, it's amazing that they even survive with the amount of people that they have.
Yeah, I think the number of employees that they have is ridiculous. I also kind of feel like that's also why they haven't been acquired yet, because it's just no one wants to deal with that amount. Yeah, they're at 19,000 employees.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like, it's over. Yeah, over 10,000 into that range or something. Yes, okay.
And who's gonna buy them
and cut 10,000 jobs and be the bad guy?
Yeah. No one's trying to no one really wants to deal with that bad PR. No one wants to try to be the one that has to kind of like make sense of this mess, this bloated mess. And it's like it's a lot of those studios. Like, I'll use The Division as an example. The Division 1 and 2 were made by like 6 different studios. They had 2 main studios, Red Storm and Massive Entertainment, and then like 4 smaller studios of like 50 employees or less. And these are like Ubisoft Budapest, Ubisoft Dubai. You know, it's like a lot of those studios they got is like the name Ubisoft in a city. It's just like or a country or something. Like it's not like Red Storm or Massive Entertainment or
Right.
whatever, like a Naughty Dog, actual name of a studio that was independent at one point and was then acquired by Sony. Obsidian, independent at one point, acquired by Microsoft. A lot of the studios that Ubisoft have are studios they just created, and a lot of them are just there kind of be support studios for the bigger properties. But they make they don't there's no game, there's very few games that Ubisoft releases where it's just it was just made by this one developer. And a lot of times developers they'll have support studios and you just never hear about them. But no one has support studios the way Ubisoft does. And like I think the way they go about things is kind of like, as you guys were saying, they kind of trip themselves up. They do good, but then they kind of take some steps back. I'll use a more recent game that came out this year as an example. X Defiant. Now, X Defiant, when they first showed it, it was abysmal. It was like the worst first-person shooter I played. It was awful. The guns were terrible. The hit registration was off. It was awful. I'm like, throw this away, right? And right around that time, I don't know if you guys remember that or not. They actually showed a battle royale too, if you guys remember. And I think it was a Ghost Recon battle royale or something like that. And people was like, stop whoring out the Ghost Recon IP. Give us a real Ghost Recon game and stop giving this the response for that. And it's the point I'm getting to this because I think Ubisoft is way too reactionary on things. I'm not saying they shouldn't have canceled that game, but they absolutely canceled that game based off of the gaming community reaction to it. X Defiant went under the knife to be retooling changed for like a year or two. When it came back out in beta, people enjoyed it. People liked it. It may have also kind of coincided with some discontent from the Call of Duty community. But then this is where I think Ubisoft kind of like gets into this mode where they listen to people in the community too much. They saw a lot of Call of Duty refugees, so to speak, Call of Duty players playing X Defiant, enjoying X Defiant, and then they started getting into this, okay, so what's COD doing? Let's implement that. And there was a whole report from Inside Gaming on how they just kept like, the game was ready to go, and they kept delaying the game to add more content that was like Call of Duty. Well, what's going to happen when your game is too much like that other game? The people who are playing your game are just going to play it, every now and then drop off of it completely. They're Call of Duty fans. If your game is just like Call of Duty, they have no need to play your game. And so they, here being reactionary again, that report from Inside Gaming comes out, and the report in Inside Gaming says nobody at Ubisoft has any idea when X Defiant is going to get launched. Then, like a week or two later, they put out a release date. Reactionary, and were they ready? I mean, I thought so. I thought the game's pretty fun, but X Defiant's numbers are dropping dramatically. Like it's like in bad shape. And there was something I saw where they are considering potentially not doing more content after the current season. And so when you think about all of this, like, I just think they listen to Like, and it's weird for me to say this because I always say developers listen to the gaming community because we're telling you what we want, but there's got to be a balancing act. Like, you got to listen to the gaming community when there are serious concerns, and then you also got to err on the side of like, sorry, we're a business, and there's certain things that we just can't like alter direction on because we need to make sure the game comes out. We need to make sure it's a game that's unique and different in the market. And you know, you're not going to get that kind of feedback from a gamer who don't care about your business, don't care about the success of your business. They just want to play what they want to play, and what they want to play isn't always what everyone else wants to play. So I think they need to really check themselves, and I think Assassin's Creed Shadows, the delay of that, and what I thought was troubling was them apologizing to people who didn't deserve an apology, in my opinion, in regards to the use of Yusuke, a black samurai in the game, and it's just like he's in other games. This isn't the first time he's been, and he's a black samurai in those games, and nobody complained. It's like you can't acknowledge all criticism because all criticism isn't worthwhile criticism. You gotta kind of have the ability to say, you know, this is what we're doing. If you don't like it, that's fine, but this is where it is going forward, and no amount of complaining and whining or whatever the heck you think you're doing is going to change that. But when you acknowledge them, now you're giving them a little resolve. You're making them feel like they're being heard, and now they're just going to double down on their stupidity. And so you end up in these situations where now you're canceling all of the public releases stuff, the releasing stuff. You're canceling any kind of promo stuff you were doing with other content creators and games media. You delayed the games. You said it for polish, which clearly they're going to polish the game more. Like the dev studio, the game intending the game coming out in another month or two. And what are you going to do with all that time period? Probably just fix bugs. But you can't, like, we're not going to act like we don't know what, you know, the real reason is here, is that you're kind of trying to avoid, you know, some of these, I mean, I was about to say something derogatory, but some of these people who just, they're never
Slomo be always having derogatory stuff on his mind.
I'm just going to, these people who are never happy, they're never happy, and they were never going to play your game. And that's the part that irks me. You're acknowledging the thoughts and opinions of people whose thoughts and opinions are abhorrent and just complete, like, utter foolishness. And they were never going to play your game in the first place. Because if they're a racist, you changing Yasuke to be not a samurai in the game doesn't mean they're going to play. They're a racist. They're not playing your game anyway because they don't want to play as a black guy cutting up Japanese people.
Right.
That's the problem. You made a black protagonist. That's their issue. Not that the made up crap they made about, oh, well, you know, historical accuracy. Ain't a single Assassin's Creed is historically accurate.
Nope.
So now why this is where we're going? It's just like, you don't acknowledge this stuff. And it's just like
yeah, like, why do they get to win?
Right.
You know, like, real, like, why, like you said, you when you acknowledge it, when you give power to it, you know, you let them feel more emboldened to be even like bigger dickheads. And it won't stop there.
So that's where we're at.
There now, they're going to continue doing it. You know, like you said, these people they're never happy. They don't really care about the games. They just need something to glom onto, you know.
Yeah,
a lot ridiculous.
Of them, DEI, anti-DEI grifters are what they are.
Yeah. Yeah.
pretending like they care about these games that they don't care about. All they do care about, though, is they want their white, blonde, blue-eyed male protagonist. They want their big titty, dumb as a box of rocks, woman to save. And they want guns, blood, and mayhem, and that's it. They don't want nothing else. That's it.
That's true.
And when they see a woman, we got freaking Lara Croft out here. They ain't got a problem with her. They ain't got a problem with Eve from Stellar Blade. But they do have a problem with Ghost of Utah main protagonist. I wonder what the difference is. Could it be that I can see the titties on these other women, but I can't see the titties of the Ghost of Utah woman? Is that it? It's like so obvious that you are just a man that have never touched a woman before. This is why you're acting the way you're acting. We're seeing it now with Dragon Age the Veilguard, where they're like, oh, well, the stuff they're complaining about, I'm going to use a term that Luca is using for these morons. They're tourists. What she means by tourists is that you don't play these games, but you're pretending like you are. So you're a visitor in my country, in my area, and then you're going around as a tourist acting like you should have a voice on any of these topics. And no, you don't. You've never played Dragon Age Origins, or if you did, you didn't finish it. You didn't like the combat, but now here you are complaining about Dragon Age Veilguard, saying, I wish the combat was like Origins. You didn't like Dragon Age 2, but then you're complaining about characters that were in Dragon Age 2 that aren't doing cameos in Dragon Age the Veilguard.
Yeah.
You didn't play Dragon Age Inquisition, and this isn't freaking Final Fantasy, where it's a whole different story with whole different characters in every game. This is a continuation of an epic story. If you didn't play Inquisition, what the heck are you going to do in Veilguard? You're going to be going around, they're going to be talking about characters, be whole conversations of characters that have been in 3 to 4 games already, have talking about things that already happened. You just going to be sitting there looking stupid because you don't know what they're talking about. But that was if you actually intended on playing the game. Dragon Age has never been a massive game in sales. It's always been eclipsed by Mass Effect. And Mass Effect also wasn't great in sales either. So if the game wasn't a big seller, what were you doing when these games were new? Oh, you weren't even playing them, but now you want me to pretend. You want to pretend like you really care about Veilguard. Oh, I was going to get it, but then I saw the top scars of trans character scars. And I'm just, even though it's an option, and I can just continue to keep that off. I'm now not interested in the game. Fool, you was never interested in the game in the first place. So
that's the wild thing. You mad when a developer makes the choice and gives you a woman or gives you whatever or a minority. But now you're also pissed that there's a creative character where you can make up whatever character you want to make. That's an issue too.
Yeah.
And
it's just
the question.
There's a lot of stuff. Go ahead.
No, because like you said, look, I know you and I have had discussions and we laugh and we joke about Horizon, right? And you feel like the game is Aloy is boring. You feel the game is boring. That's fine. I never have an issue with it.
Digital NyQuil is what I like to call that game.
Okay. I always say, I don't do Skyrim and I don't do Oblivion because I don't like butter knife combat. The slow.
Exact. Yeah.
Sweet. You know what I'm saying? That's just not my vibe. But I find it really interesting because I said, I was thinking the other day, and I told Ramon this. I said, switch out Aloy and put in a muscular white dude with a thick beard, and he's not any different. He's stoic. He's kind of mundane. He's kind of whatever. No issue. Then it'll be incredible for a lot of people. It'll be because how many stoic space marines, barbarians, secret agents, hell, Master Chief is not the beacon of personality.
Yeah, he's boring. He's a boring person. He barely speaks. He barely got personality. He just got one liner. Let's finish the fight. Cortana.
Yeah.
Give me my gun. Can I stick it? Like, it's just like the same. Like you can't be like, hey, I love the Master Chief. Damn, Aloy's boring. Like,
right.
Okay.
And that's what I say. Like, again, you can feel the world is born, and you can feel she's whatever. But there's another layer to it. You know what I'm saying? That's why it's funny today watching people like losing it. And again, consumer wise, you can definitely be on Sony's ass by what they did about raising the price. But it's like I thought y'all all hated Horizon.
Yeah.
So, I find
and the game is
funny.
how old is her? It came out in 2017. So 7 years old. It's a 7-year-old game.
Yeah,
it's been out for a while. Now, granted, yeah, Sony is it messed up that Sony raised the price on the super old game that like they raised the price because they didn't want you to buy the game instead of buying this new remaster. And this isn't the first time
every company does, by the way. That's not me making this.
Yeah.
I'm just saying every company does this. That's how you.
Yeah. They got a remaster at $70, and they see, oh wait a minute, we gave an upgrade path for $10. Somebody could just buy the original game for like $30 or whatever it was.
Right.
Do the $10 upgrade to the remaster. Now they've only spent like $40-$50, and they did that with what game was it? Was it Spider-Man?
Yeah. Oh, they were real weird with Spider-Man because
I believe that was what it was.
Together, and then they separated.
Yeah.
Spider-Man remaster, but they packaged it with Miles.
Yeah, there was another. I just know there was another game it was The Last of Us. It was The Last of Us. So that I think they raised the price on that so that when people did the upgrade, maybe it wasn't. I can't remember. But I know they did it with a different game. So this isn't the first time.
No, it was Spider-Man 2. They did it with Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 2, when they released it, they released the system by itself at first. And then they released only the bundle of Spider-Man 2, and then they raised the price by $50 on each bundle.
No, it's not. Miko was right in the chat. It's the Uncharted collection.
That was the first time they did it. They did it again with Spider-Man 2.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay,
I know they've done this before because the Uncharted games, Uncharted 4 was dirt cheap and Lost Legacy were dirt cheap. And if you owned them, then you could get the upgrade, and everything for, the visual upgrade, whatever they did to it. And they raised the price of them, so that like it matched the what do they call the collection? Forgot what they called it, but the two games together. But yeah, so this is the first time Sony has done this. That's it. I get people calling it out, but I do understand where it's like you weren't playing this. You didn't. What are you really upset about a game that you weren't going to buy anyway? Whether like it was if it was $10 at one point and you still didn't buy it, maybe you didn't see it, who knows? But if you cared, you would have got it. You would have bought it. When it's been out for 7 years. It just thank you, Ramon. Legacy of Thieves collection. That's what it's called. Yeah, they raised the price of the individual games so that like the Legacy of Thieves collection was a better deal, so to speak. But this is what they do. Call it out, but then don't be surprised when people say, so you waited 7 years to play this? You didn't own it already? Okay. People's gonna look at you funny. I own that game on 2 platforms. I own it on PlayStation and I own it on PC. And I don't even like it.
What do you think
I somewhat like the first game, but second one I can't stand. Go ahead.
Going into the line where you talking about Uncharted like that, because most of the time they use that I don't want to call it an excuse, but they use it. Well, it is an excuse. They use the excuse that a lot of people that are on that platform haven't played that game before. What do you think of the notion of right now PlayStation is basically coming out and saying that 25% of all the people that have PlayStation 5s didn't have a PS4?
So So what do they have? Are they just brand new gamers, or they're coming from Xbox or
No, they just said
or Nintendo?
they're just basically saying they didn't own it. They just said 25% of people that own PS5s never owned the PS4.
Well, I mean, they that's their data, and they would know that. No one else would know that information except for them because it's their platform.
I just find that you're
I'm
right
not
about that.
disputing it or anything.
You can't dispute it because you don't have the data.
Right. I mean, that's fine. I still don't think that like that justifies remastering everything that you made in the past,
and that's why they're doing
7 years. Yeah, but it's just but they could just buy those games. The PS4 is backwards compatible to the PS5. They could go into your store right now, Forte, but not right now because it's closed. But like tomorrow, they could walk into your store and say all of the Forte, manager, point to me all of the first party games that came out on the PlayStation 4. I own a PlayStation 5. I'm new to the platform. I want to buy them and play them all.
You could probably get them all for less than $150.
Exactly. So the whole, these people are new to the platform,
but that's the thing though. Does that benefit Sony though?
You made it backwards compatible so they can play the game.
Yeah, but listen, in a world, okay, so this is where, like I said, I don't want to, because we don't have the data. But in a world where we don't have that data and we can't refute it, and like I said, in my mind, you just sold 120 plus million consoles, and it's hard for me to believe. Now, I guarantee there are some people in there that never had a PS5, maybe a PS4, maybe they came from PC, or maybe they were diehard Xbox people. But we already know it wasn't a lot of diehard Xbox people to begin with. It's like a very small pool. So we ain't pulled that many people. And plus, a lot of people that had Xboxes, let's be for real, already had PlayStations, especially the ones that we know. So it's like kind of hard for me to believe that number is that big. It is more like they're using that as a means to an end of like convincing people that we have to do this, because people that haven't played these games, we want to give them the ability to, see what our franchises are like and put them in their best light. So we want to remaster all these games, which not only helps them make money on games they already made, because guess what? Development times on those games, as we saw by those leaks, is literally 10 to 20% of what it would cost them to make a full-fledged game. And then it kind of opens up the ability for them to kind of have these little content gaps where they could release a lot of these remasters before we get to the big one. Like everybody's talking about, hey, where's Spawn? Where's Wolverine? Where's all these games that we're waiting for?
Spawn.
Did I say Spawn? Yeah, not Spawn.
Blade.
Yeah, not Blade. What's the
Venom?
Venom. That's what it was. Venom. Yeah, Venom. Yeah, Venom. I don't know where Spawn came. I don't know where Spawn came from, bro. But a Spawn game would be pretty cool.
Yeah, man, a Spawn game since
that's why I was like,
since Super Nintendo, we need a Spawn game.
Like, what did I miss? When did Spawn get announced? Because
But that's kind of what I'm like looking at it though.
This is what I'm saying. It's just a different business model that they got going on than really the majority of the industry. If you look at it and break it down to its brass tacks, look at Cyberpunk, for example, because CDPR released Cyberpunk in 2020. The game came out 2 years too early, clearly. It did not run well. It barely ran at all on last gen, and was an unoptimized mess on current gen. Now, the performance aside and them fixing the game, which took them 2 years after launch to do, when Cyberpunk 2.0 update came out, for those who had played the game before the 2.0 update and those who played it after with Phantom Liberty, it's not a completely different game, but there is enough different about it, completely different structure of the skill trees, rebalancing of the weapons, the way you receive loot and gear changed. They created an entire system where you build up your skills by using those skills. So like if I'm a net runner and I'm using like quick hacks and hacking people, I get like engineer points and net runner points to make me more efficient in that. They added all of these things there in addition to creating like kind of curating the dialogue in certain places and making things more seamless. All of this happened then with one of the best expansions ever put into a game. All of that content, and they only charge you for the expansion. If that was Sony, if Sony owned Cyberpunk, they would have charged you. They would have made a brand new edition for Cyberpunk and said, if you want all of these changes and the better, not the performance stuff, they would have fixed that, but like the changes to the game, yeah, you need to buy this Cyberpunk Cyber Psychosis edition. I just made that up.
Do you think
that's how they would have done that?
Do you think part of that is them having to make good on because they did drop the ball at the 5-yard line?
But they didn't do that with Witcher 3. And Witcher 3 was kind of broken at launch from what a lot of people said about Witcher 3.
They gave out a lot of free content, actually, for not the expansions. They charged for those, which was well.
But those expansions were dirt cheap, too. Those expansions was like $10, and there was a lot of content. So I just think that's just how CDP are, even though like their leadership is kind of trash. But that's just kind of like how they engaged with the customer. And and what Sony does, they're not alone. I don't want to make it seem like Sony's the only one doing that.
Sony's definitely on. They definitely on charge.
Yeah. Because look, even with Atlas and Sega with Persona, Persona 4 Golden, it's the same game but better. But they charged you a whole brand new full price for it. Persona 5 Royal.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so how many different versions of Persona 5? They're like, all right.
It's the same game, bro.
Next week, Persona 5, the for real discount we needed edition.
Yeah, and what's different? Oh, well, our previous dungeons were trash, and so we made them better. I'm like, I'm buying a new edition. We added one more character and an extra semester in the game, and then we kind of curated the combat to make it, a little bit more seamless. These are quality of life improvements that you do. Most games, that's quality of life improvements. Let's think about how Sony has done this, right? Sony, and we're so far off topic that we did, like Forte, I don't know what kind of host of Forte doing, but I'm just going to say my point and then we can get back to the topic, right?
He's compelled. He's compelled by the conversation.
Wait, why are you trying to blame this on me?
Because you hosting and we supposed to be talking about Ubisoft.
No, listen, as a great host, you let the conversation maturate itself into what it actually is going to be. Because guess what? There is not a lot of stuff that happened this week outside of State of Play.
Our Stern bag right now.
Right. Listen, I'm just letting the conversation go. Hey, look, we're at 10:21, which is 81 minutes into the show, and we have had a great conversation with no dead air. That is great during a week where barely anything happens.
We are veteran podcasters that don't do dead air, so that there would be no dead. If we had no topics, there would be no dead air. But that's
we're talking about the sky.
We supposed to be on time, get the body here anyway. Look,
okay, well,
let me just say this.
Now you want to finish what you got to say.
I want to finish because I think it's a good point.
A good point to a good conversation. Yes, SloMo, continue.
Yes, okay. Remember what they did with Spider-Man and Spider-Man Remastered? That was like Spider-Man came out in 2018, right? No. What year did God of War come out? Because God of War was up for Game of the Year.
2018.
Okay. So Spider-Man came out in 2018. 2 years later, they did a remaster for Spider-Man. Remember that?
I do remember that.
The really only thing that changed was they changed Spider-Man's face. He no longer looked old. He looked like, that guy, the last face model, he looked like, Peter Parker at 42. Now he looked like Peter Parker at like 20 something. The biggest change right there. That was it. But they didn't just, hey, look, we made some changes, free update. Nah, it was like, nah, we're gonna bundle this with Miles Morales. If you and I don't think they may did like a $10 charge for that. Yeah. And yes, Ramon, what was that word that Forte said? Because that wasn't a real word.
It wasn't. Maturate is a real word.
Don't repeat it. Don't.
Maturate is a real word. Look it up.
Let's go ahead and we're gonna move on. We're gonna move on.
It's not a real word. it's a real word.
It's maturation.
Bye.
Look, okay, so look, 5090 and 5080 actually, because both of them supposed to come out this year. So this is a little PC, talk here. So some of y'all might, start to tune us out, and some of y'all will pay attention. But NVIDIA, who is owning the GPU market like none other, it's recently come out. They have 88% of the GPU market. And Intel has 0% of the GPU market.
They have none, bro.
And AMD has 12%. So just basically, it's a freaking monopoly is going on, which is why we're going to be the things that we're going to be talking about. Do you have the screenshot, Forte, to put up on the Jumbotron?
Yeah, I can put it up real quick.
All right. So there's a leak that came out, and we're not 100% certain this leak is the real deal. We don't know if all these numbers are fully accurate, but people seem to be taking it. A lot of the people are taking the data that's in it and running with it as the gospel. But we'll discuss this real briefly. So we already were aware that the RTX 5090 and 5080 were going to be of the NVIDIA's new GPU line. We're going to be the only GPUs released this year. They would release the 5070 on down to the lower SKUs early next year. Now, people also kind of believe this leak because it's getting close to around that time that Jensen, the CEO of NVIDIA, with his leather jacket, would show up in his kitchen and pull a GPU out of his oven or something, and then start, talking about how great it is, right? But
he loves
some of the information. He loves that. I don't think it's the same one. I feel like he got like a closet full of leather, like identical looking leather jackets, right? He wears one and then he literally burns it in his fireplace with like $100,000 just because he can, right? Because NVIDIA is stupid rich at this point. But the information that came out on it is a little fascinating because for a couple of reasons. One, I look at it and I feel like the 5080 is a bit underwhelming in a lot of areas. It's underwhelming. And I'm comparing it to the 4090. So let's say, like, I have a 4080 Super. Forte has a 4090. We not really in the market for one of these. But if you were, say, someone that has a 3070 or a 2080 Ti, and you were looking at this next generation of NVIDIA cards as something you will upgrade to, you would look at this and maybe want to say, maybe I just wait for them to announce these and then get a 4090 on discount. Because if you look at the 5080 and you look at the 5090, what you're seeing is that the 4090 has a higher CUDA core count. It's got 8 gigs more VRAM. Now, sure, the 5080 has faster VRAM because it's GDDR7, it's not GDR6X, but you got a bigger memory bus. You got more memory bandwidth, and it's just, with the way things are going, I'm mad that NVIDIA is still being stingy on VRAM. Right now, if you decide, hey, I want to play at 4K, upscaled or not, on PC in my games, you're looking at anywhere between 12 to 13 gigs of VRAM being used today. NVIDIA, not too long ago, was trying to sell people 8 gigabyte VRAM cards and pretend like that's mid-range. When it's not. It's too bad. It's too little VRAM in order to make that work. So now here they are sticking to 16 gigs of VRAM when the 4090 has 24. And they did that with the 3090 Ti. The 3090 Ti had 24, and then they still gave the 4080 16. So to go from the 4080 to the 5080, and it's still 16 gigs of VRAM, but now your power draw is 400 watt. I mean, I don't think that's I mean, granted, we haven't seen, this is just looking at the specs. We don't know for certain how it's going to perform. We also don't know, and this is what they did with the 4000 series, if NVIDIA is going to like basically put a take some features that they've been working on and block it to just the 5000 series, because that made the 4000 series more attractive to people. Some people may have been like, I'll get a 3080 instead of going to 4000 series. But then they look and they go, oh, so the 4070 got the same amount of VRAM, but it has access to DLSS 3.0. And back at that time when they launched, nothing else had DLSS 3 anything except for the 4000 series. So it would surprise me if they went that route too, to kind of make this more attractive. But 600 watts for the 5090?
Yeah, I'm telling you, could cook a steak on it.
Oh my God, just heat up your whole house with that, and play video games.
Man.
32 gigs of VRAM that you don't need.
Man.
Now look, the specs look like it's going to be a big deal. And clearly, and AMD not even trying to compete with NVIDIA on the top end no more. They already know they can't, so they don't even try no more. But there's no purpose in putting all the R&D, the money they spend into it only for it to not sell because everyone's buying the top end NVIDIA card. But 600 watts? They got
that's dirty.
This is what happens when you don't have competition, in my opinion. Where they just go, yeah, 600 watt, and what? And it's gonna be over $2,000 MSRP, and what? What you gonna do about it? Nothing. Buy our stuff. And the 5080, whatever what was the 4090? 1600? 1500? It's gonna be somewhere in that range.
4090 was 1600.
Because look, the 3090 was $1,200, and when the 4080 came out, what did they price it at? $1,200, and that was too much. But they're too stubborn to just say, yeah, that was too much. Here's a $200 price cut because we're stupid. No, they said, nah, we gonna say that was appropriate. We'll come out with a 4080 Super that actually is exactly like the 4080, and we're gonna make that $1,000. This is NVIDIA. So it's just like this is
buy stock today, y'all. This comes out.
Yeah, well, I mean, NVIDIA stock is through the roof right now. So
well, no, they did a stock split, so it's down to $111 now.
Yeah, yeah. I just look. This is it's gonna be very interesting when they come out. If these numbers are fully accurate, of course, we don't have like the boost clock data, and we don't know what the actual pricing is, but expect it to be significantly higher than what 4000 series is, and I think it will be interesting. I'll say this last point, and then Forte, you could go ahead, but like I think it will be very interesting if the lack of competition from AMD and Intel will have Nvidia kind of take their foot off the gas a little bit, and maybe they don't have exclusive features for the Black Whale cards, and they're just like, yeah, this is it.
Yeah.
What's the problem? You got a problem? You know, like they before they gave incentives, like if you're a content creator, AV1 encoding is still exclusive to the 4000 series cards. If you have a 3000 and 2000 series cards, you're still on NVENC H 2.64, 2.65, or one of those. You're now on the AV1 encoders that are, you know, just as good as far as quality, but they take up less memory. Like, it's just they know how to entice people to upgrade, but I don't know if they'll feel motivated to do that this time around. Forte, what do you think about that?
I feel like I made a great decision 2 months ago when I did what I did.
True.
I wanted a 5090. Now, if I didn't have, if I was still sitting at a 3080 or 3070, and this happened today, I may go to 5090, but it's like who needs that? It's like everything on that spec sheet I'm looking at is like, who needs 32 gigs of DDR7 RAM? Who needs
People
it?
who are developers.
Exactly. I'm looking at this, and like, guess what? Your job is, and guess what? Your job is going to pay for that.
They gonna call you a pocket watcher for it.
Liz, they can watch my pockets all they want. I can go. Guess what? I can go brick when this comes out. I can go brick my 4090 and pay whatever the little difference it would be and get that card. That wouldn't be a problem. But we're not talking about that right now. But I'm just looking at it and I'm like, first, it's like I got my RTX 4090 close to retail price. At a clearance price. I think I only paid $30 over MSRP of the normal one, and I got a overclock a third party. I got an overclock third party one, so I actually made out on it. But I'm sitting there looking like every game I play, when it comes to like pretty much like, especially when it comes to the memory, even on Cyberpunk, it touches 16 gigs and that's about it. No game is going above that. And I'm just looking at all these other, I'm looking at CUDA cores, like everything on this card is like 30 to 40% faster or better than what a 4090 is. So I'm like you said, outside of developing and the thing about content creators, you don't even need it for content creator. You just need more. Now, if you're doing like a lot of intensive stuff, like inside of like After Effects, and you're making your own graphics and stuff where GPU power really matters, then yeah, you need it for that. But if you're just making like content, you need just a good CPU. You know, those are the people running Threadrippers and stuff like that. The GPU is like non-essential and stuff when it comes to this. So yeah. Anybody that buys, like right now, like I told SloMo the other day, or actually I told you today, a 4090 is a flex. That's what that is. It's a flex. You don't need I'm not gonna say people don't need a 5090, but it's like, sure, there's gonna be people that's gonna go out there and get it. But the more enticing card is the 5080. I'm like looking at the specs on that. If you're coming from a 4080. Or 3080.
If you're coming from a 4080, you shouldn't be looking to upgrade anything on this card.
Well, I'm just saying, if you're going to upgrade, you're right. When I'm looking at that, the CUDA cores is like what, 10% faster, same DDR, same bit rate, slightly better memory clock speed. Your memory bandwidth is what, 60 more, and you're
the same VRAM.
Yeah, the same you're right. Yeah, at that point, if you're 4080, just jump to a 4090 or something like that, or a 5090 or something like that. And at that case, if you got a 4080,
or don't jump at all. A 4080.
Well, I'm just saying, some people got hot pockets and holes in them.
Less than 1% it will do that. So like
No,
the
I
regular
know.
PC consumer who's looking to upgrade ain't looking
If you
at
got anything in the 4 series, you don't need to upgrade.
no, absolutely
That's
not.
now if you're in the 3s, then yeah, but I would probably tell you to just jump to a 4. You know, especially if they're still available, you can get it for a cheap price, because the first thing that's going to happen
they're
is
going to stop selling. They're
that's
going
what
to
I
stop
said.
selling the 4000
Yeah.
series as soon
They're
as
going to
they
disappear.
Oh, maybe not the 4070s and the 4070 Ti Supers and
No,
stuff.
the 4080, the 5090, and the 4090, those will disappear.
Those they're gonna stop selling them, and as soon as they stop selling, they're gonna stop producing them. Well, I mean, that's to be clear. They're gonna start producing more of them, and they're gonna put the ones that they still have, the excess stock that they have, they're gonna put them on sale. And so, like, I remember getting my 3080 Ti, which was a $1,200 card, for 800, 850, something like that. When I got so you know, like you can and that was right before the 4000 series were launched. So they're gonna go on sale, and then you can then go get yourself a 4090, and you won't need to upgrade that like for years. Like if you really want to make it like where all you care about is just playing your games with the visual fidelity and the great visuals and the frame rate that you want, in a 4080 or a 4090, you don't need to upgrade. But the 4080, because of how VRAM allocation is going, in 2 and 3, guaranteed 3 years, but maybe 2 years, 16 gigs of VRAM won't be enough.
That's why I say people just go to the 4090 instead of going to a 5080.
Yeah. So like, because them not increasing the VRAM from the 4080 to the 5080, especially considering how the 5080 price wise is likely going to be what the 4090 price was, that's egregious to me. You look at the 4090 and the 5080, and you look at what they're offering: a more advanced PCIe interface, a more better memory, but but like it's 8 gigs less. It's got less bandwidth. Like, is that really worth it? Like, again, we just looking at spec sheets. Like, we can't, when we actually see them perform, when we actually see tech tubers like Gamer Nexus and Hardware Unboxed, Digital Foundry get their hands on the cards, put them in their test rigs, and then get their benchmarks done, then we'll see what's what.
Okay, so this
but
is
also we don't have MSRPs on any of the 5080 or 5090. So
this is the question. The reason 4000 outside of locking features and stuff, the reason that 4000 was so explosive on the scene was the simple fact that you could go out and buy a 4070 and a 4080, and the 4080 had better performance than a 3090. You're not seeing now, if these specs are to be real, that the 5080 isn't surpassing the 4090, but only in a couple of specs, and it's mostly in specs where it's not going to still outperform it. It's just going to probably run more efficiently, but it's not going to outperform it.
Now, this is where the question the thing I said to you earlier, offline, we were talking about this. What if NVIDIA is like DLSS 4? DLSS 4.0 exclusive to the 5000 series cards. Look at the 5080 running DLSS 4 compared to the 4090, and it's better than.
Well,
because let's keep it a buck.
I'll play devil's advocate.
Nobody is playing games straight, native resolutions, temporal anti-aliasing. Nobody plays like that no more. So everyone's got an upscaler. Everyone's using upscalers.
Yeah, even on 4090s, you're using upscalers.
in the name of the game, I think it was the NVIDIA that actually said that like AI and machine learning is going to be where the advancements in visuals are coming from and the advancements in performance is coming from going forward.
Right.
They have the best upscaler on the market.
All right. So the only thing I'll say about that, because you're right, but and that would probably be the reason a person would go from a 4090 to a 5090, but a person wouldn't go from a 4090 to a 5080 for that, because
no.
Yeah, you would have to go to a 5090, because the way I'm looking at it is the thing about DLSS, the picture is only going to be as good as the base resolution that you can get it up to. So
Wait,
go ahead.
Forte?
Yeah.
That's not 100% true.
So it's not based on the highest resolution, but frame rating too.
By default, that's how it works. It's like the lower the base resolution is before you upscale to a target resolution. Like if you did what DLSS ultra quality is, I let me double check what that is real quick. But that's like a really low. I said ultra. I meant ultra performance.
Yeah, ultra performance. Yeah,
that's like a really low target, like starting resolution to get up to like 4K.
Mm-hmm.
That's like starting at like 720p and then upscaling to 4K. You're gonna get a lot of artifacting. You're gonna get a lot of ghosting. Like the quality's not going to be good. The thing is, when it comes to these comparisons of upscalers, and Hardware Unboxed does like the best ones because they've compared multiple times DLSS to FSR to Intel's XeSS, and they don't just compare, okay, so how many frames were you able to squeeze out of it with the upscaler? They compare that, but then they also compare the actual visual quality on screen, because we've all seen the way FSR looks. It's the worst one. And FSR quality, and when it first came out, the FSR quality was on par with DLSS performance, which means that all the ghosting and artifacting all over the screen was bad, but it got better. And so they all get better over time. But the reason why I brought it up is that like upscalers, if it's a quality upscale in DLSS, it's quality. DLS 3.5 was the first one that started doing ray reconstruction, which is where they upscale ray tracing. The ray trace effects get upscaled too. But prior to that, even with DLSS, you would see when you turn ray tracing on, you would see like the shimmer effect, and then you also would see like in Cyberpunk, this happened all the time. Whenever it would rain and the ground is wet, and it's like it was like the hardware is trying to render the reflections, the ray trace reflections correctly, and it can't. So it's like this shimmer because it's constantly changing. That is where like they fixed all that stuff. What's up, Floodzilla? He already know where I'm going. FSR can't do that stuff good. And FSR 3 is just getting there to the point where it's starting to get better at that stuff, but it still can't do ray reconstruction. And when we get to RDNA 4, which is also in the PS5 Pro, I think when the guy, I think his name Ali from Digital Foundry spoke on DLSS, he spoke on PSSR. And he said it was like on par with DLSS 2.0. They're on 3.7 right now. So that just kind of shows you how even with machine learning and AI, you're just not going to be on par with the very best. And the very best of DLSS sometimes is better than temporal anti-aliasing with native resolution. Like there have been side-by-side comparisons. Hardware Unboxed has done it, where in certain games they're like, yo, that DLSS quality looked better. DLSS quality looks like native and then sometimes better. And then that whole deep learning anti-aliasing that NVIDIA does, that's better than native resolution. That's better than temporal anti-aliasing. It's just it's hard on your hardware, but it's better. And I can see with the 5080 and 5090, if they got DLSS 4.0, they're probably going to be like, deep learning anti-aliasing? Yeah, man, we didn't nail that. We didn't master that. We got that all over all these games. Don't that look like better than native resolution? And it's not even native resolution? Don't you want that? That's how they're going to sell this to people.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. E.
Oh my God.
Yo, E, I need you to tell us
what
of all. E, I need you to tell us of all the 4 cards on the screen. Why haven't you purchased one, and when are you going to do it so you can join the master race fully?
Please turn the voice off.
You sound like Brap, man.
Oh man.
Come on, B. My Commanders had a good week. Don't do that to me.
Man, you killed me with that voice. Yeah, Commanders did have a really good week.
Shout out to Jaden Daniels. Oh, well.
I'm riding high on UM right now, man. That's where I'm at right now. So
The U.
But no, I mean I'm planning to build, I guess at some point build a PC. I can't say when, but it's definitely it's going to happen eventually. I know I've been telling SloMo that for years now, but you know,
when you are ready, we will help you build the monster of your choosing.
Oh yeah, see that's a beautiful thing, man. I know I got like, levels of knowledge to tap up and hit pause.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Listen, we're gonna be like Rick James, and we're gonna welcome you in with open arms when that day comes.
Yeah, and hopefully there won't be no chipmunk voices going on when that happens. Can we? Let's move on to this last topic, because there's a lot to talk about there.
Oh yeah. Last topic, PlayStation. Yeah, my favorite platform. What?
PlayStation?
What? Now he's Satan.
Shout out to the voice changer. Last topic of the day, PlayStation.
Die in hell, voice changer. Go ahead.
Wait, huh?
Chipmunks.
But last topic, let's talk about state of play. Well, first of all, before we go into state of play, ask one question. Did you guys pick up PlayStation 5s today? PlayStation 5 Pros today?
Nope.
E?
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, you did? You did?
Yeah.
Oh,
you
shot.
did?
Which one did you get?
Yep.
Base
I
or
didn't get it.
30th?
Yeah, I got the base Pro. By the time I got in, which I was sitting there for about 40 minutes or so. Then I got in, got what I was gonna get. But by the time I got in, I had already seen like Wario and GPD say, nope, they're gone. So, but I see some people in the community got a couple.
Yeah, I saw a couple people got the anniversary edition. Yeah,
a few people got it. So I don't know how they pulled that off.
I just logged into the store.
It's still there.
Just because
Pros are still there.
The Pro, the base
regular
Pro
is still available. Which I gotta admit, I'm a little shocked by that. Not that I thought demand was really high, but I thought they would not have a lot. So that cooked the books, but to kind of be like, all right, we ain't making too many of them. So then when the enthusiasts get them, then we can be like, oh, thank you, PlayStation gamers. PS5 Pro is completely sold out. We can't make them fast enough. But hey, don't speed up. No, I'm joking. Just keep going at your pace. But yeah, they're sold out. We'll let you know when there's more in stock, just to kind of create because Nintendo has done this before, to kind of create this false scarcity kind of effect. But nah, they just made a whole bunch and they still available. I'm looking at the screen right now, and the PS5 Pro, the regular one, is still available to buy. You know, now of course, like the anniversary edition is gone. Even the anniversary edition regular PlayStation is sold out, as well as the DualSense Edge and the PS Portal.
Yeah, I got the
all
Portal
those are
as well, and a DualShock 30th anniversary.
cool. So yeah, all those are sold out. The only thing that's still available is the Pro. So if you're looking for a Pro and you were just, I guess sleep all day and you didn't know it was selling.
It's funny, Slomo. Colin Moriarty said that. He said he got up, he tried to get in, get one. The site was messing up. He was like, basically like the hell with it. He went back to bed. And he said he got up like round 1, got right in and got it. So yeah. It's just that kind of thing. So
I bet people were
it's
sitting
just
there
funny
like,
watching
man,
it. It's just funny watching it online. Everybody going back, like people. It's like two sides of wishing, like wishing it sold out so you could dunk, wishing it failed so you can dunk. And I'm just like in the middle, like just get my joint. I'm good. I don't really. It's not on me. I don't have to. I'm not in the boardroom worrying about what it's doing. And like I said, and I think you guys both said this too. Like if they overpriced it, the market will dictate real fast.
The market would dictate
that they shot too far.
And I told people $700, that ain't quite high enough for people to say I'm not buying it.
Yeah, I mean you're gonna have people that jump out and do it like me. I went ahead and got one, but I was also there, and like I know people making the argument about going back to the the 1X and the PS4 Pro and what they meant at the time and this and that. And I think from a game standpoint, you could definitely say, well, Sony was shooting a little more straight on that, and the argument you could have made about the 1X was they weren't really providing a first party game to show it off. But either way, I still bought it because I was like, if it makes my current library better, okay, I'm good with that.
Right.
I play games so slow these days. I don't know what it is. Like I get to games when I get to them. I play games all the time, but it seems like I don't know if I'm being more thorough with games these days than I was back in the day. But it definitely feels like I play games for a lot more hours than some other people do. The ones that actually play games. So there's games off the list that will be PS4 Pro enhanced that I haven't even gotten to yet. So I'm okay. I'm good with that. I've wasted money on worse.
Yeah, that's what's up.
So I'm not saying I wasted money. I'm just saying, like I think about things I buy, as a collector or just whatever. You only get one spin around the rock. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, just enjoy it. Like if you can do it, do it. If you feel like it's not rocking, hey. I know not everybody has 700 just to throw out in the drain, but honestly, I think at the end of the day, people should just kind of mind your own business. Don't pray for failure. The market will dictate it if it fails, and stop worrying about whether or not it's going to dictate what's going to be next, because you don't have a guarantee what Sony or Microsoft or anybody's going to do no matter what. What dictates that to them is where the economy is and all those different things like that. So you don't have a whole lot of control over that either.
Yep.
That's how I look at it anyway.
Yeah, so let's get to the state of play. It was mostly third party stuff, but there was a couple of surprises in there. They started out with, so how do we feel about them celebrating Astrobot? New DLC coming out later. I think it said next year. I can't wait for that because
it'll be later this year, actually.
Oh, they said later this year. Yeah. Astrobot, that game is incredible, and they're adding more stuff to it. I was excited for that. So what are some of the big takeaways? Because there's quite a few games, and we'll just talk about the games that we liked the most that we saw at the showcase, and go from there. So I will start with you because we talked a lot during the NVIDIA part. What was your takeaways from the showcase? What did you like about it? What is something you think could be done better? And the overall experience, what would you give it?
Oh, you want me to give it like a number grade?
Yeah, I mean you can, or if you're not a person that gives number grades, like it, dislike it, it could be better, whatever you want to do.
I don't know. I kind of look at it again. I've noticed when it comes to like these shows for myself personally, how I've been the last couple years or so, I don't I don't too much engage in the whole, setting of expectations. I just kind of go, okay, well, I expect a certain thing because I am paying for this stuff. But again, I always have something to play. So I'm not a hype beast where I'm like, it's first party or bust, it's AAA or bust, it's whatever. Like SloMo, you and I talk about this all the time. I always have something to play. There's always a game I can find interest in. There's always something that, you know, out there for me. For me, it's never dry. I don't ever feel like it's dry to me. Not to say that these shows are like all home runs that they're shown, but it just depends on what you go into it kind of looking for. And I think where the biggest thing I think Sony kind of has going against them right now is the overall silence that they have from their first party, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of the conversation around them right now is Concord, them spending the kind of money that they've spent on certain things that just haven't really panned out outside of like Helldivers 2. The questions about where they are with Bungie and this and that, whether they were being too reactionary to what Microsoft was doing, we kind of saw how that was. So I think it just makes things louder. So people kind of go into these things, the minute they say they're going to do something, people get like super hyped because it's like they're finally saying something. And then they start to maybe build up in their head. So I'm kind of just like, okay, let's see whatever they show. I'm pretty sure most of these shows, no matter what they are, I can guarantee I'll walk away with 1, 2, maybe 3 games that absolutely I'm putting that in my list for something that I want to play. And hopefully we'll be in a place to get to because I'm done with something else that's not already, that I'm catching up on or was hyped to play. So with that being said, the show overall I thought was fine. I don't think it was like overly excited except for the end, and we'll get there. I don't want to jump too far ahead.
Right.
And they did give like a hey, one more type thing announcement. So to me that's a win in a show like that. You did get something first party, you got something popular, you got something that looks really awesome, which of course sparked, as we were talking about earlier in the show, another controversy because we can't go a day in this damn community without a controversy. So, but overall, I saw about 3 games, maybe or so, 3 or 4 that I really dug. So for me, I kind of walked away like, okay, cool. Whenever those drop, I'm good, and I'll keep it moving. So it wasn't like I felt like the show was trash, but I also didn't feel like it was some major home run, except for a couple parts where I was just like, okay, that's the spark. That's what's up.
Right. You could just name, what were the 3 games for you?
Well, first off, like Hell is Us look cool, but I don't know, like, how do you guys feel like when you see some of these games now, like they look cool, like, yeah, I'm gonna play that, but at the same time, you're like, they're all kind of starting to look the same.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, very much so.
The industry has gotten to the point where they're even indies or AA developers are just making safe bets because your next failure could be the end of you. There's not very much opportunity for hey, you know what? We messed up on that one, but we lived and we learned and we figured out some things, and this next one's going to be much better. Sorry, there is no next one.
Right. You don't get exactly. We've seen it, right? This year alone, like, it's like, ooh, that's a wrap. Damn.
Yeah. So it's to the point now where it's like, what's familiar, what worked, and how can we make it's like a balancing act. How can we give people something that is familiar that they'll want to play it, but unique enough where they don't think about, well, you're basically just copying X game.
Right.
Yeah.
So a lot of these games, while they look, you kind of have to get your hands on and go, is this really pulling me in, or does this feel like there's something like, because if that's the case, I think something like Eliza P, which is one of my favorite games of the generation, using the Pinocchio IP, but also kind of putting their own souls like spin to it. To me, that all kind of came together as a cool thing, and I want to see more of it. So Hell is Us looks cool. I'm happy that Shredder's Revenge is getting some more stuff because I think that game is dope. That Midnight Walk game looked interesting.
Yeah, it did.
Because like I think you get that vibe of like Little Nightmares type of thing going. So I was like, yeah, okay, I got my eye on that.
And of course, what they showed at
I don't
the
really
end.
care about.
So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, we'll
The
get to
Lunar
that.
games. I never played the Lunar games, so I'll definitely have those like in the wish list. And you can feel how you want, I guess, about like Soul Reaver. You know, it's a remaster, but I think some people are hyped off of that for sure. Because I know you can get them on PC right now, right? Are they available on PC still?
I think
Yes.
they are. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Right. So I think for people who are not in the PC world, who are on console or whatever, I think it's just a thing of the hype from that definitely comes from the fact that they've been kind of locked away from a console aspect. So, you know, but Aspire is very hit or miss. So you don't know what you might get. You got to kind of wait until those are like here and people review them and show them, you know, before you get too crazy with it.
Mhm.
So yeah, but outside of that, Fear the Spotlight looked pretty interesting. And I played Fantasian Neo Dimension. I've already kind of played some of that on Apple Arcade. That's actually a pretty good game. I don't know if it's gonna like light the world on fire, but yeah, that's and Dragon Age. I can always see more Dragon Age because, like I said, I've
That
never
trailer
been.
looks so good.
Yeah, I've always like. It's funny. SloMo mentioned it earlier in the show. Like, you know, you kind of had Mass Effect group, you had the Dragon Age group, and then you had people who kind of did both, like SloMo. But I was always more into the Mass Effect thing over Dragon Age. So I'm kind of catching up on Dragon Age now. But Veilguard looks dope.
Yeah.
That game looks sick. So yeah, so I'm looking forward to that too.
SloMo,
What
same
about you guys?
question. Yeah, SloMo, same question. Just we'll talk about what is it, Ghost of Yote? We'll talk about that as a group.
Yeah,
Just,
I didn't want to. I figured we'll get into that.
we're gonna do a whole topic. We'll do a whole thing
goes
separate from
without-
that.
Yeah, that one goes without saying.
That one goes without
hyped.
saying. But everything else on the show, what are your thoughts about the show? Takeaways? What did you like? What are the games that you are looking forward to? Give us your opinions, bro.
Well, what the heck was that sound? Anyway, all right.
Your phone just
so
got invaded by something.
so Ramon wanted me to say this, so I'll say so. Everybody go out and buy the Legacy of Kain remastered
Yeah,
games.
he's mad hyped. He's so hyped for it too, man.
He wants everyone to buy them so that they actually do a real game, you know, and not a remaster in the future.
Yeah.
So
Oh no,
go out
man!
and do that.
I saw that game and I was like, I want to do it, but I was like, why could they just remastered it?
Yeah,
I mean, remake it, not remaster.
I mean, yeah, remake it, yeah, because they try hard to like show the differences, like doing the little tear screen where it showed you the differences in like the texture.
That never goes.
I was
over
like,
well.
no, bro. I said this looks just as bad. I said all you did was make something that was ugly look sharper and uglier.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so, sorry, Ramon. Anyone that was going to buy it, just listen to Forte, and now they said I'll pass.
SloMo was gonna pass too.
He already know. He been trying to get me to play those games for a while now. He already knows that's a lost cause. But just real quick, I kind of feel like we're never going to get another PlayStation showcase.
Yep, never.
I feel like this is it. Yeah, they showed a lot of, not like a ton, but anything that was first party that was likely like at a point where they could show it, they showed. And if you were doing a PlayStation showcase, you would have waited to put Ghost of Yote, whatever you want to pronounce it. You would have put that as your one more thing at a PlayStation showcase or the opener of the showcase. But you put it as State of Play. And you put it as State of Play because you don't do showcases no more. You do State of Plays. The same way Nintendo does directs for everything, they are now doing State of Play for everything. And they'll try to manage expectations before they start by saying, hey, look, you're just going to get a lot of third-party stuff here through our partners. You're not getting any first party. Or they'll, not say that, and then you can expect to see some first party content. But if you think about it, they had Astro Bot DLC, They had DLC for Stellar Blade, which is a second party game with them with the collaboration with Near Automata. And you know, they showed the Ghost sequel. They also had Lego Horizon Adventures there again. Horizon Zero Dawn's completely unnecessary remaster is there. This is their PlayStation showcase.
They're not beating the allegations on Herman Holtz's love for Horizon, boy.
Yeah. Herman Holtz thinks Horizon is like one of the premier IPs in gaming, and he is so wrong.
Before you go on, you know what made me laugh about that and really realize that is how they ended Astrobot, pretty much. Like next to almost at the ending of Astrobot, one of the final worlds you visit. I'm like, they're not beating these allegations, man. They really want this game to be like premier PlayStation.
Yeah. Most of the games I saw really didn't interest me. That weren't even the Astrobot DLC was dope. I might play through that again. And with the DLC, I actually am far more because I never finished Stellar Blade, and I'm like near the end. And now with that DLC with 2B, I don't know what the actual collaboration is. If 2B, if you basically just, it's like a skin and you're replacing Eve with 2B, but I might, when that comes out, go jump back in that and finish that game. So I was far more interested in that than say the Horizon Zero Dawn remaster. When I looked at the side by sides, and it's like, okay, it looks like you fixed her face, and you did a couple of things here and there, like details to like her hair looks better, and her face looks better, but like, and maybe it's just the YouTube compression of putting it on YouTube. But like, I'm looking at the side by side comparisons to see more detail in her clothing on the original game than in the remaster, and I just kind of like, that doesn't make any sense. I kind of feel like that's just gotta be YouTube compression making that look blurrier. But I mean, it looks okay, but it's just like I don't think that's not worth $10 to for a game I have zero intention of ever playing again. You know, it's just, I'm good. Games that I was interested in that wasn't the one that we're about to talk about. I thought that Alan Wake 2 DLC that ties into Control, and Remedy always does this. The last DLC of their current game is a tie-in to what their next game is, because like
it was Lake House.
So in Control, the final DLC was AWE, which had Alan Wake in it, and that was really good. I like Control. I'm not an Alan Wake fan. It's too slow and boring for me, personally. So, although I own the game, I don't know if they allow, like, if this is expansion or something, you gotta beat the game in order to be able to do this expansion. But I don't want to, going into Control 2, which is in production right now, be lost on what's going on because I didn't play that. Or maybe they won't, maybe they'll just know that people probably hadn't played that and catch people up. But I'm interested in that, but I'm not interested in playing Alan Wake 2, the base game. And of course, Dragon Age, the Veilguard, because freaking love Dragon Age, and I'm really hyped for this game. Fantasian Neo Dimension. So if you guys remember Mistwalker, it's funny because Mistwalker is a development studio that made Lost Odyssey and Blue Dragon on the Xbox 360. Fantasian New Dimension has been seen on a Nintendo Direct, now also at a Sony State of Play. I didn't see it at Xbox's Tokyo Game Show, so I just thought that was interesting. But I have Fantasian on mobile and never really played it. I probably will pick it up on Switch or something. If it's coming to PC, I'll get it on PC, but I doubt it. But I mean, really, that was about it. Oh no, I'm sorry. Archage Chronicles looked really good, and I wish listed that on Steam. So I'm hyped for that. Hell is Us, I think, is a game that like it's going to get the Souls community people into it, but not much else. When I looked at the details that came out about the game, this is not going to be casual friendly whatsoever. The game it's got no map, no compass, and no quest markers. It focuses on exploration and environmental storytelling. I hate environmental storytelling because that's what FromSoft does. They think that is a good substitute for a good story. It's not. Yeah, I think people who love Souls games will dig it. And I think everyone else is going to be like, nah, this ain't it for me, fam. So I think a lot, it looks good and the combat looks good and they showed it in its best light. I just think that once details come out about it, that some people are going to be like, oh, I don't know about that. You know, like I think some people are going to be, because this is more, it seems to be more in line with what you expect from a Souls game pre-Elden Ring and not post-Elden Ring. So, I mean, we'll see what happens, but I just don't think many people are going to be very enthused with that one once it all the details come out. That's it, really. We can get into this the game that capped the show, Ghost of Yotai, which has already got a article, clickbait article saying it's historically inaccurate.
As we already knew was going to happen.
Right, and the historical inaccuracy is so dumb that it's not even worth bringing up. Essentially, I'll say it so that people don't get the wrong idea. Yotai is a mountain in Japan. Unlike Ghost of Tsushima, which was the entire island, this is a mountain, and this mountain is where, you know, the new protagonist is where the location is and where she's the ghost of the area or whatever. It seems to be like all kinds of Ronin roam the area, and she's hunting them and they're hunting her. We don't know all the details, but that's it. But the historical inaccuracy is that mountain is called Yotai today, but back in the time period that the game took place in, it had a different name.
That's it.
So that's the historical. That's it. So a whole article to tell you that the mountain changed names, and maybe they knew this and they just didn't care because Yotai sounds better than the really long name that the mountain used to be called. But that's basically
like
what
movies, TV shows do all the time.
Right. It's just like it's a complete nothing burger. But anyway, there's a lot of talk about this game. I thought it looked great. It's PS5 only, of course. It's built for the ground up for the PS5. It's got a female protagonist and not Jen Sakai that everyone, not Jen Psaki. Who called it Saki? Was it Enrique?
From MSNBC.
Good grief. Shout out to Enrique. Jen Sakai is not going to be. He may show up as like a ghost or something, or like in a flashback or something. But that would even make sense because this takes place 200 to 300 years after the events of Tsushima. So it looks like Sucker Punch is doing an anthology of the Ghost series. So really, the IP isn't Ghost of Tsushima IP. It's Ghost. because it seems like after this one, they'll do a different protagonist in a different part of Japan in a different time period. It'll be Ghost of Tokyo. I don't know, like Ghost of, Ghost of whatever.
And that's what they want to build on.
Exactly. Who is the new Ghost? Almost kind of like Assassin's Creed, where there's a different assassin in every game, and that's expected. And I think it was smart for them to do this to kind of break that idea in the gamers' minds that Jin is the main protagonist here, because maybe it's just me, but I felt his story is done.
I felt the same thing. That's why I'm like, what are we doing here? Like,
what are you bringing them back for? Like, it's just it's not much there. And when the story is finished, and typically this is in TV shows, in movies, in whatever form of media, books, when a writer writes a story and they got an alpha and omega, they got a beginning and an end to the story of a story arc. When you ask them to resurrect that character for a different story arc, it never hits the same like it did before, because this character was created with the sole purpose of reaching to a certain point and then getting the growth they needed, or learning a lesson, or dying due to their own, arrogance, or or stubbornness, or whatever. Like, that's their story arc. When you want to just keep bringing them back because you like the character, it waters it down. It makes it a worser story. So I think it's a great idea to make it an anthology. I think it's a great idea to move on from that character. And I think the people who are complaining about this would not be complaining if the new Ghost was some guy named Tetsuo. And he wasn't a woman. I don't think they would be complaining. And so
I'm seeing this narrative now. It's like, that breaks believability. Like, some 120-pound girl is going to be doing all. It's like, really?
She doesn't fight like, like Jin was a samurai who was raised as a samurai. He fought with a sword. He did learn other things and other tools, but he had a code, honor. He kind of broke out of that over time. But how he fought is very different than what it seems like they're going to be doing with the new character. It's just like, she clearly in that time period isn't raised to be a samurai. So, but also in that time period, the women weren't defenseless. They could fight if they needed to.
You're gonna tell me, you're gonna try to convince me after the rave reviews and Emmy awards of like Blue Eye Samurai that we can't pull this
Blue
off.
Eye Samurai, right? No one complained about her slaughtering scores of people, right? Or in Shogun. Shout out to Anna. She's a beautiful woman, by the way. Anyway, but shout out to her.
Absolutely.
She nailed her role. Won all these what do they call them? Emmys, right? For TV, these Emmys. And she was fighting in that. She fought, defended herself. She wasn't just hiding and cowering while the men were fighting. So it's just like the ignorance when people who don't know what they're talking about don't know what other forms of media are doing about like content that comes from these time periods. But it's all, look, the foundation of it is all built on their sexism and all of their prejudice that they have, where they just want to see everything that has to do with video games be a particular format that only serves them and what they want to see. And if there's a woman in it, she got it. Look, and I said it earlier, I'll say it again. If she was wearing an outfit where her cleavage was hanging, was prominently on display, and she's got her legs, like, and she looked like Heavenly Sword. No one complained about Heavenly Sword. That's unrealistic for a woman to be murdering all. No one said that. No one says unrealistic for Lara Croft
Right.
to kill 300 mercenaries in a game. No one says that unrealistic. Oh no, because Lara Croft is wearing some really small cargo shorts and a tank top.
And Slomo, keep it a buck. No one had a problem with William Adams from Neo being a white blonde man as a samurai.
Nope.
Oh, he's demon fighting. That's different. No. Y'all don't get the cherry pick, when because the thing I always ask when people get into this whole DEI thing or whatever is, when is it okay? White cis males or grifters or whatever you want to call it. When is it okay? Because everything, you can't even get to it where what was it? The Legend of Zal. Was that
Yeah.
that you can't even have a story about Africans in an African world
Yeah.
without it being DI, only because Sweet Baby Ink was involved. With it. Now it's DEI.
Made by an African, by the way.
Right. Telling a story about how he dealt with grief. And it is like, oh, that's woke. So when is it okay? When is it okay to be something
Woke.
other than,
Yeah,
a white
first of
man?
all, woke isn't even what they call, like, that term was created and they completely changed it to basically
that's what drives me crazy.
It's now woke is whatever they don't like.
Well, I say leave
If
it
they
again.
don't like it, it's woke.
No offense. No offense, but the colonizer mentality is always taking over something and appropriating it and acting like they came up with it. And I'm like, so we can't even have woke, which was supposed to be about us watching the man, not even just minorities, but anybody watching how the operative works. Stay woke, keep your eyes open, keep your mind clear, all these things, and watch what they're doing. But no, now we've allowed them to take that and manipulate it into something negative as an umbrella to all the things that they don't like. So women. And the thing is, it's like every guy want to get into some vagina, but hates women.
I wish I could share the screenshot, but I'm not hosting. But as we're talking about woke being used for literally any and everything.
What screenshot?
So there's a map. I'll send you the
DM it to me.
tweet. Yeah, because it's just ridiculous. So essentially, they use woke and as it's interchangeable for whatever they don't like or whatever they think is pushing minorities in front of them, as if they haven't had it the opposite for decades and centuries, or an agenda, which I'm not saying sometimes that is not the case, because sometimes it is. And we see that where, like, you look at like TV shows where they gotta have one gay character, right? Or it's gotta have, like, hey, a token black guy on, in the crew of friends, but he's never the main guy. He's always the best friend that's funny, like those kind of things. Like it's always there, but they always go overboard, and then they exaggerate things, or they just, in this case, the scenario, just make stuff up. So this like a developer on Twitter was showing a portion of her game, and she said, we're making a game where you play a courier rider in the 13th century Mongolia. No combat, just you, the horses you've tamed, bred, and trained in the vast wilderness. Would you play this? Someone responded, awesome. What's the game engine? And she said, it's Unreal Engine 5. And then someone goes, oh, so you people just can't develop for ish. What?
Right.
Like, so everyone that uses Unreal Engine 5 can't develop. That's the majority of the gaming industry, because it's the most popular game engine out there. So they all can't develop. And then someone responded to that idiot saying, it makes sense, doesn't it? Woke studios always use pre-built engines to make games because they can't build their own engines. What's a woke studio? Is it because the game takes place in Mongolia, so there's not going to be any white people? Does that now make it woke?
Yeah. Right.
It's just dumb people who lack a vocabulary to be able to describe their actual gripes with things, or maybe they do have a vocabulary where they can describe their gripes for things, but they're afraid to do so because they're cowards, because then everyone will call them out on their racism, because that's exactly what it is. And whenever you do that, and we've seen this, there are people that we know. Shout out to the Jay Bari from What's Up PlayStation podcast. He pointed out the ridiculous foolishness that was going on with Dragon Age the Veilguard, and he got DMs where people were calling him the N-word.
Yeah. Yep.
Telling him to off himself and all kinds of stuff, and using racial slurs. Okay, but it's not about race. No, this is just, we were just tired of them, actually showing the world, as it is, and not the reality that I've warped the world into be, where I'm always the main character.
Mm-hmm.
It's just silly. I'm done. I don't want to talk.
He just got frustrated.
Wild, man.
The game looks fantastic and surprisingly, it's coming out next year. So next year seems to be really packed with games. GTA 6 still slated for next year, even though people are saying it's going to get delayed to 2026. Fable apparently is slated for next year. This was news that came out from Xbox's Tokyo Game Show. We got Avowed for next year. We got Assassin's Creed Shadows for next year. We've got a lot of content coming out next year with Marathon and maybe probably Fair Games and a lot of content. So it's going to be a very interesting year, maybe like last year where it was so many games coming out that it was just hard to keep up. But what do you guys think about how Ghost may stand up with all this stiff competition next year?
I think he's going to do fine. I think it already has a built-in base of people that's going to enjoy the game. They're going in kind of a direction like Assassin's Creed did, but they're, in their own way, in a setting that a lot of people love, around feudal Japan and stuff like that. And the thing is, I really liked about it, they changed, I don't want to say they changed the whole color palette, but it's like they're matching it up to the character in the scenes and stuff, and that just makes it just draws more of a visual, a heightened visual of sense when you look at that game, and it makes you just I just want to, kind of draws you into the world and stuff. So, and that's something that Sucker Punch has kind of always been really, really good at when it comes to their games. So I think it's going to be perfectly fine. Grand Theft Auto is going to be the hardest one. I mean, because that's kind of built-in game of the year right there. But I think when this game does release, it's going to be perfectly fine. It's going to be a first-party title for PlayStation. It's going to be something that people are really looking forward to. I wouldn't be surprised if this is the next first-party game, big AAA game that comes from them, because it's the one that they showed off first. So we have a whole year or 8 to 9 months of PlayStation hyping this up until it does release. And we didn't even get the developer story backgrounds and how they went out and captured stuff. And that stuff is really, really super exciting sometimes, especially when it comes to games like this. So there's going to be a lot of more things that's going to get people even more hype. And then just knowing that all first party studios are basically working on PS5 games, and knowing that this game is going to be PS5 only compared to Ghost of Tsushima being PS4, PS5 cross-gen. You're going to get a chance to see exactly what this game should not hold back, since it's being developed directly for the PS5, and it's going to be one of the very first games that's going to be developed with the PS5 in mind, or PS5 Pro in mind. So I think that's going to be another reason why this game is going to do good, because it's going to be probably Sony's first opportunity to showcase why you should have a PS5 Pro over a base PS5 with this game. So I think I'm looking forward to seeing how it does. And definitely looking forward to when it finally comes to PC in 3 years.
Right.
What about you,
Might be
E?
sooner than that.
It might be, right? Homer Host did say 1 year.
Yeah.
He said 1 year, so we might only be waiting 2. But what about you, E?
No, I'm kind of on the same page with you, man. I think as a first party, I think it'll be fine. I think because I think going back to what Slomo said at the beginning of the show, you have people that are not interested in the game no matter what, and they're going to be the loudest. But people who are fans, you know, they probably, some of them will have their feelings. I've seen some people, you know, being vocal and trying to be provocative or whatever. But I think overall, for the reasons that you laid out, you know, being a PS5 only game, next gen only, finally, gen halfway through the gen.
Mhm.
You know,
Halfway through the gen, you right about that.
I think it's very intriguing. So I think just like what the first Ghost kind of did, I think it'll fall in that same pocket. They just got to pick the right spot, which I think Sony's pretty good at doing, you know, for when they release it or whatever. But yeah, I think it should do well.
Just don't release it nowhere near Grand Theft Auto. Not even 2 to 3 months around it. Let that game breathe.
Matter of fact, if you can jump out before it.
Right, yeah, you want to jump out at least probably 2 months before it. To let people get because that game's gonna swallow everything up. Even Call of Duty will get swallowed up when that game comes out, and it's not too many games that can swallow Call of Duty up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it looks interesting, but definitely looking forward to that. There is a rumor that there is you know, Detective C says there's rumblings that there will be another showcase in December, so you know, keep your eyes out for your favorite, you know, leakers and seeing if that actually might happen. And PlayStation Showcase, some other stuff. We know it's basically on Xbox now. We're waiting for Tokyo Game Show to see exactly what they're going to showcase. And hopefully they can get to the point where they stop telling people they don't need Xboxes and we'll be even better off then. But with that being, right, exactly. But with that being said, does anybody else have anything they want to bring up?
There was a very interesting article about Sarah Bond that came out.
Oh yeah, there was. You're right. Yeah, you're right.
And,
yeah, I forgot about that.
Very interesting read. If you, I wouldn't suggest paying for the Bloomberg subscription to read it, but if you are able to get an archive version of it somehow, whatever, definitely worth a read. It's very illuminating in a lot of different ways, and yeah. What else? Go ahead.
I was gonna say, give us the tea leaves.
Well, essentially, while I feel like the article was a fluff piece for Sarah Bond, which is fine. That happens from time to time, but it seemed to also be in the detriment of Phil Spencer.
Oh yeah.
What we learned from the article is that early on with Sarah working at Xbox, she had to they had counseling, the two of them had, with HR because of their communication issues. She had to put a Post-it note on her desk where she would have to remind herself that she's not here to do what he tells her to do or what he said to do, but what he meant. So it really very much painted Phil Spencer as someone who doesn't know how to clearly communicate what he means by things. And there are definitely some people in the gaming community who would sympathize with that, considering it seems like every 2 years, something that he said 2 years ago is contradicted. In the article, it lets us know that Sarah, well, it insinuates that Sarah saved the ABK deal by she's the one that made the decision to give up cloud rights, and that kind of got the CW the CMA to back off and consider it like a new deal and got the deal done. strangely enough, somehow the way it was written, it made it seem as if Phil Spencer decided. Apparently, Phil Spencer goes to bed at 10 p.m. every night. Like right now, they're on the West Coast, so he's not in the bed yet. But very soon, Phil Spencer's going to bed. He's turning his phone off. Don't contact him. If the world ends, if
the
Xbox,
world ends, the world ends.
if all the Azure Xbox stuff on the Azure service goes down, don't contact Phil. He's done until the morning. And they made it seem as if, like, even with the CMA decision happening soon, he still decided to go to bed while Sarah stayed up to deal with the fallout of them blocking the deal and fixing it. So basically, the article was written in a way where it made her look great to the detriment of him. And there's been some talk that Sarah clearly provided that information.
Yeah, that
in the
information
article,
just right.
Getting the details of what her post-it is on her desk, and then there's like other stuff that talked about her history and gaming that I thought was a little bit exaggerated. And then, she talked about her education, which is like fantastic. She's clearly, when it comes to business wise, far more qualified for these leadership roles than her counterparts are, just by the fact of where she went to school and the kind of education that she got. But it's just it was very illuminating.
I'm have to find this.
You need to read it. And it also kind of insinuates in something else that I wonder how you guys, once you read it, Forte, I wonder if you get the same impression. Mm-hmm. But it seems as if this push towards putting their first party games on third party platforms, on their competitors' platforms, might be coming from her.
Oh.
Which I would say, Sarah has a lot of support in the gaming community. If that's true,
she gonna lose all of it.
She gonna lose all of that. People be like, yo, I love my black sisters, but get her up out of here. Like there's gonna be people who are going to feel some kind of way about that, right?
Yeah.
But like I think she's in. I think Sarah is someone who is not interested in the status quo in the gaming industry. She's someone who is a disruptor in a sense, and the fact that she's African American,
African American,
and a woman that rubs people the wrong way when people are like, well, this is how the industry works. And she's like, yeah, but that's how the industry works for them. But for you taking L's. So like, it's just like, that ain't how it works for you. We need to stir this stuff up. And like, Brian East in the chat, shout out to him. He mentioned how she worked at T-Mobile. And at the time period that she worked at T-Mobile, T-Mobile were disruptors.
Yes, they were.
AT&T and Verizon was running things. T-Mobile was like, yeah, they giving y'all data caps. No data caps. What's up?
Yeah.
They making you pay for this. All you want to do is watch Netflix. Okay, Netflix is free.
Yep.
So they were doing things that made T-Mobile stand out, and I think that's what she's trying to bring to Xbox. But that's gonna. I don't agree with putting your first party games on other platforms like that. That makes that's to the detriment of Xbox hardware.
Well, you also gotta, you don't know the context that's behind. Xbox has been failing in certain regards for years, and a lot of people thought this was Microsoft driven. It could have been more dire to the point where they had to come to a conclusion. And she was like you said, she came, basically to the rescue for the ABK when they said, okay, let's just side over cloud rights. Maybe this was the way, like, maybe it's like sometimes you're in that rock and a hard place and the rock is like, The Rock is like right behind you, and the hard place is like, how do we get this money back as fast as possible because we can't do it on our own? And then you kind of just got to come to that conclusion. You probably just went to him and said, well, what if we put our games on other platforms? Now this is the thing. Does it have to always stay that way? It doesn't have to always stay that way. But the thing is, I always said, once they got the taste of that ABK money and they saw what third-party publishing could do for them, it was going to be hard to turn that money down on everything else. So if they go in that direction, they're going to probably stay in that direction.
That article said that 2 weeks after she saved the ABK deal, she got promoted to, what's her title now? President of Xbox?
President of Xbox, yeah.
So we could say that, her being willing to stay up past 10 p.m. and work on deals.
Work on deals is what got her promoted.
Right. May have, given her some, because like Phil was her boss. But we know Satya is kind of on that mindset that he don't give a damn about none of this game and stuff, and he don't care about exclusives. Like they put Microsoft software on any and everything. They put Microsoft Office on Google, on Android. They don't care, So I think that her performance when it came to ABK definitely rose her stock in Microsoft, but maybe not necessarily in Xbox division and Microsoft gaming. But in Microsoft proper, they're like, oh yeah, they love Sarah now. Additionally, it also wouldn't surprise me if like there's some older Xbox employees that are like, no, we ride with Phil.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I bet, I guarantee.
And then there's some newer Xbox employees that are like, yeah, you guys, you're just riding with Phil because he got you your job. Or he kept you around when if you worked somewhere else, you would have been let go. But we over here, we want results, and Sarah brings that. So it wouldn't surprise me if there is some internal strife there, because these kind of articles, they don't come out of nowhere.
Yeah,
like,
how would feel it after seeing this?
Yeah, think about the
And
purpose.
then, what?
What's the purpose of the article? The purpose of the article is to make Sarah Bond look like Supergirl, Superwoman, and to make Phil look like a bumbling fool who can't talk right, who can't communicate correctly, and goes to bed at 10 p.m. like he's Joe Biden. Like that's the way it made it look. And it's just like, okay. So like
if you think about the body language, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but think about
go ahead.
what's the one thing that's always been like their vibe, their messaging has always been off. Because remember when the whole like the ABK stuff was happening at the end, and then they're trying to like, I think Sarah did that, but she did that video Bloomberg interview, didn't she?
Oh,
where
after they let go of Tango and Arcane Austin, and she's sitting up there.
She was like her message. Yep, and her message was way off from what everything. It just looked like, So all this is kind of like making sense now. It's kind of like tracking in a way. Like the power, the struggle might not be coming from Satya at all. It might be coming from within what's going on just within Xbox between them.
Well, that's what I said.
Let's break that down for a second. Remember what Pete Hines' email exposed, which probably got him fired. I don't think Pete Hines got fired because of Redfall and Starfield not being ready.
Oh, he got fired for that email.
He got fired because of that email.
Yeah,
because
he get fired.
That email.
No, he ain't leaving, bro.
Look, nobody.
They said he left.
Yeah. Look.
No, that's what I mean.
They say
technically Mike Ybarra left. But we all know Mike Ybarra months before that said they would have to drag me out of here.
Oh no, Mike been talking lately. Mike been propping up some PlayStation and everything else. Mike been talking spicy.
Look, Mike was not. Mike didn't want to leave. Mike had to leave. It was like you can leave. You can leave on your feet, or you can leave on your knees. Whatever you leaving.
Hey, remember, I'm gonna get you suckers. Like you can either leave out a window or you could take the stairs.
Hey, that's a
yeah. And
that's
so-
a great
and so-
line from Alien 3. You can leave on your feet or you can leave on your knees. No, you right about that. That's a hell of a lie.
So when you look at like Pete Hines said the email,
Yeah.
think about what Pete Hines wasn't mad. People misconstrued what he was talking about. People act like Pete Hines was mad that this is mostly PlayStation fanboys who say this, but they act like Pete Hines was mad that Bethesda's games is going to be exclusive to Xbox. That's not what they were mad about. Pete Hines was mad that they were made the decision to make ABK games multi-platform after acquiring them, but when they acquired ZeniMax Media, they made everything exclusive. So now he's like, that's a change of philosophy because that's not what you said you were acquiring publishers and studios for. And then we got in a week or two, we got Todd Howard going to an event where he's going to be there with Games Media, and they're going to be asking him these questions, and he has not got the PR statement to say in response to that. This is bad communication. This is what he was mad about. Mm-hmm. Now, he said the spicy part of that internally to the team at Bethesda.
Right.
To Phil, he took a portion of that and cleaned it up, and we never saw Phil's response. But in the ABK hearing, they questioned him on why he felt what he felt, and it was all out there. Mm-hmm. Now, I bring that up because what Pete was complaining about was bad communication between Xbox leadership and Bethesda leadership. You decide to shut down studios. Who maintains the studios? Matt Booty. So whether it was Matt Booty's decision or not, anyone speaking on the studios being shut down should be the guy that runs the studios, Matt Booty, who also in the letter telling the studios they were shut down, he couldn't even get the names of the studios correct.
He did.
I feel like Matt
right.
Booty's still working
that
from
guy
home and everybody else in the office.
Matt, you don't get me started on the Chihuahua. Anyway, look.
Oh my
Matt
God.
Booty. So you just the very next Xbox leadership in an interview thing had been scheduled weeks in advance. Sarah is doing an interview. Now she got to deal with this. It's not even her decision, her job, nothing that she does is involved in that decision, but she got to answer for it. It's a part of the job, right?
Right.
She's not prepared. If she's not in the decision-making process to shut the studios down and lay off all this staff, why, and you know she's about to do an interview, why have you not communicated with her the same way you weren't going to communicate with Todd Howard on what she should be saying in this interview about that? We saw her response. She had no freaking idea what to say. Now, if you're Sarah Bond, they put you in that kind of position. All right, I'm gonna go back to Bloomberg, and we gonna have a talk. Let me tell you about Phil Spencer. Tell you about how I gotta make sure when I talk to Phil, it's gotta be before the streetlights come on. Let me tell you about how like I gotta get a translator whenever I talk to Phil, because even though he speaks English, nobody understand what he's saying. Like that's
you know she reading tweets like, "Yep, the community's right."
Yo, this is politicking. This is how corporate world is. It's not like, hey, I don't like you. You and me I'm gonna see you after school. We gonna handle this. It's not like catty girls, making snide comments at each other back and forth. Politicking is they actually, hey, you know what? I got an interview coming up. Maybe I tell them a few things they don't know about you, while I also tell them a few things they don't know about me. And we can see how the writer writes it. Oh, I had no idea she was going to write it that way. Oh, sorry, Phil. Hey, guess how I had no idea you was going to lead me into an interview where I end up having to answer questions for you and Matt Booty. But stuff happens. You know, it's just that's politics. That's how corporate world works. When you think you're the better person for the job, and there are people in the organization who think you're the better person for the job, things start happening where you can start influencing things. And if you start telling the public, hey, I'm the one that got ABK, you know, I'm the one that's making moves out here. Hey, another part that came in the article that came out. Yeah, I'm the one that's out here trying to get a Xbox app on iOS for iPhone. And you know, the team, they're just dragging their feet, but I'm staying on them because we need to make sure this happens. I'm a go-getter. Now, I'm not trying to make Sarah look bad or anything, but that's how the corporate world works. That's what everyone does in the corporate world. Make themselves look good. The things that you do, they hype that stuff up. And if you feel like you're supposed to be the top dog here, you're supposed to be running, if you were running things, we wouldn't be in third place. You're going to start saying stuff that starts influencing people to think that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Shark Tank. She in the Shark Tank, and she said, "I'm the big shark here." She said, "Y'all the minnows running around here. I don't know what the hell's going on. I don't know how I became the shark, but y'all made it." But that's what we said though during her interview. Is like, it felt like they put her out there to answer questions. Like you said, she wasn't trained for it. But then it just felt like it was like almost like a heated interview on how she can handle pressure.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't like
and she can. I mean, look,
it wasn't like she flunked
it.
Yeah, it wasn't like she flunked the interview.
She's proven it in the professional world at previous companies, and she's proven she's got the education to do it too. So it's just like, you can't really argue with it. You may not like some of the decisions that she's making, like what first party content or something like that, or pushing or influencing things to where she's pushing for that, and then that becomes because that's not really her purview. That's Matt Booty's purview, and should be Phil Spencer's decision. But if she's got the ear of, say, Satya, who feels similar, well, then, you know, she can go around Phil, and Satya is like, yeah, put the games everywhere. Sarah's right. You know, it just seems like there's a lot going on there. So,
Wow. Well, if you have means to find out and read this for yourself, you absolutely should. I mean, there's probably multiple ways to do it, but I wouldn't pay for it either because I'm not doing that. I'm not going through paywalls. But that's something like. But guess what? We're gonna hear more about this throughout the year.
Yeah, I don't think that's over. I don't think that's over at all.
No, shots fired. Shots have literally been fired at Xbox. And guess what? For the better, because Xbox ain't been doing too good lately. And if you need somebody to go in there and shake things up, and I mean, we're not gonna say what Sarah Bond did was right, if that's the case, but we ain't gonna act like anything's been really working over there. And if she's done the things she says she's done, and all this stuff is based, and all this stuff can, like you said, be tied back to the fact of mismanaging, poor communication, writing. If you got to write sticky notes on your desk to remind you of what Phil wants you to do versus what he said, that's crazy. It's like, so I have to play mind games with my boss where he physically tells me something to my face, and I got to be like, but you really don't mean that. So you really want me to do this? That's crazy. That's nuts, bro. Yeah, that's nuts. But hey, guys, it is almost, it is 12 o'clock. We appreciate you guys coming through. That is DPS Podcast episode 197 in the books. I want to say thank you to our homie E Jack for coming through. Brother, tell everybody where they can find you, where they can hook up with you and stuff, and what you got going on.
Just find me on Twitter, EC Jackson with an X. I'm just kind of hang around there, try to make jokes. Don't do too much gaming talk on the timeline because
it ain't like people reading it.
No, yeah, definitely.
They ain't reading gaming stuff on the timeline.
And I will say this too, for a community Outside of gaming, I said this political season is really showing me how the heart of some people.
Man,
Yeah, I put that out there.
man.
Take that for what it's worth.
Well,
Someone
guess
know what I'm
what?
talking about.
November's real close, and November real close, and it's gonna get even worse.
I just see a lot of people talking about, I had more money in my pocket. They make it an economy thing. I'm like, so, money in your pocket is great, but that makes you turn a blind eye to all this racism, hatred, all this,
Don't sell your soul for a stimulus check.
you know what I'm saying? I'm like, okay, hey, like I say, I don't politically be who you with, you have that's your right. That's the beautiful thing about this country. You're supposed to have a right to do what you want to do, but there's also a moral responsibility to stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm seeing a lot of people just hiding behind economics.
Well, brother,
I say the real things that they want to say. So anyway,
Right.
Well, brother, I appreciate you coming through, and we always got to get you back on. I always look forward to having you on. When SloMo told me when I was at work, he said he's coming on. I was like, awesome. That's all I needed to hear.
I appreciate it, man.
Nah, man, you're worth it, man. But shout out to you. But homie, SloMoBackSlap, man, myth legend, man, it keeps this show going every week for us. Truly appreciate you and all your wisdom, and hope for more of that wisdom in future episodes. And dude, we're literally 3 episodes away from episode 200, bro. We got to start talking about that one. But it's great to do this show with you for over 200 episodes. That's 4 years at this point almost. So every day is a blessing, and I appreciate you as the co-host that you are. But with that being said, please let these guys know where they can find you, what you got going on, and everything else.
Now that I can speak well, and not have to stop every 5 seconds to do the pain. Look for those videos out on the SloMoBackSlap channel soon. Lunchtime with SloMo on the DPS channel as well. And Dragon Age live streams. I wanted to start last weekend, but I got super busy. So hopefully I can get started on Dragon Age Origins playthrough sometime this weekend. So look out for that. And hope you guys have a great night, man.
Absolutely. And for myself, you already know you can find me, Gaming Forte, YouTube, Twitter, Xbox Live, and PlayStation. With that being said, guys, enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the games that you're playing. And have fun this weekend. And we will see you next time. Peace.